Yeah, so I was tired of losing to Florida every year, to be honest. I told Boston to trade me. I want to win a cup. The Rat King is coming home, baby. Boston, y'all are some cheeks. Let this Panthers team beat y'all every year. Well, guess what? I'm part of a real hockey team now. Matthew Tkachuk. Let's say we drop the beef, eh? I'm ready to get a ring. Boston, y'all really thought I was going to stay with a bunch of regular season merchants. I got real teammates now. If you can't beat them, join them. Now, let me out of this press conference. I need a pub sub.
Hey everyone, welcome back to Unathletic Opinions, where four guys that suck at sports tell you their sports opinions. My name's Dante. I'm here with.
Mateo?
Chris?
And Ryan.
All right, and let's kick this off today. So, we are going to have back-to-back episodes coming out because we missed last week. So, to make up for it, we're going to come up with back-to-back episodes. This one is going to be all about the NHL trade deadline and the NFL free agency. So, we're going to kick it off with the NHL as we usually do. And we're just going to jump right into things. Let's start off with some of the earlier trades that happened before deadline day. I would say probably one of the biggest ones was the Panthers getting Seth Jones and a fourth for Spencer Knight and a first. I want to know your guys' thoughts on that. I'll quickly just say I think Seth Jones is, as we're already seeing, thriving in Florida because he's not playing for a poverty team like Chicago. Even though Chicago will be good in a couple of years, they're not poverty in a few years, but I'm just saying right now they are. And Spencer Knight, on the other hand, is probably going to thrive in Chicago in a couple of years when he gets the chance to be a starter because he's been in Bobrovsky's shadow his entire career so far. And I think he's going to thrive in Chicago. And as someone on TikTok said, he's going to be a top three goalie in the league next year. Must agree with that, right, guys?
I mean,
Yeah.
to be fair, I would rather have Spencer Knight in a first than Seth Jones overpaid contract in a fourth.
Valid, valid. I would agree. Mateo, what do you think?
Honestly, I could see what Florida's trying to do. They're trying to make another cup run. Obviously, we're going to talk later on the podcast of the Marchand trade. Obviously, long term, this trade's gonna look horrible, but if they win the cup, maybe it might look good. But right now, I think Chicago wins for sure.
Was there any retention?
I feel like there would have had to be, or Seth Jones is out after this
Yeah.
year because
Because
they
there's no
can't
way they
afford
can. How
it.
much is he getting paid a year?
He's getting 9.5.
9.5.
Yeah.
That's insane. There must have been some retention,
And they
right?
could have had Eric Carlson for
Yeah,
500K.
Chicago's retaining 26%. 26, what a weird number. 26% of his salary. But
That probably
still,
rounds it out to like an even number though.
that'll still, I think, be like what, 7 mil?
Yeah,
Yeah, it'll be like
something like that.
seven, 7.5 or something like that. So like that's still a lot for a guy like Seth Jones. Like he's a decent defenseman, but he ain't no 7.5 mil defenseman, that's for sure. The only defenseman that should
And
be getting paid that is Lane Hudson because he's the GOAT.
okay.
Not
And
joking.
they can only afford it because of Matthew Tkachuk on LTIR. They're doing a
Yeah,
Vegas,
they pulled a
Yeah.
Vegas. You're right.
so they can't
That
keep him after next year. There's no way.
Yeah. We're gonna
No. Yeah.
like if anyone has anything else to say, feel free. But I was just gonna say we're just gonna try to like quick fire through a few of these because like we're only gonna really highlight the big ones. So we'll kind of skip over some, not so like, the Trent Frederick trade, who really cares? Then Tampa Bay trade was pretty big. They got Bjorkstrand, Yanni Gord, and Kyle Aucoin and a fifth. And then Seattle got Michael Esimont, a second, and a conditional first, and another conditional first. So two conditional firsts. And then Detroit got a fourth, I assume, for retaining some of the contract. Um, Not like solid for Tampa, solid, but I don't know, like two firsts, two, and Michael Esimont, who's not terrible, and a second. Like that, I don't know. Does that not seem like a little much? Is that just me?
No, it was all right to
I'd
me.
agree.
I think
God.
Tampa is kind of heading in the right direction with Bjorkstrand on this one. Like he's a solid player, but Tampa lost a few picks on that one. It's gonna hurt their future a little bit. Well, not a little bit, a lot, but you know,
Do they
I
have a
mean,
future?
to be
not
fair,
really at this point.
they're bringing back in someone they're used to in Yanni Gord, and that's
Mhm.
worth a little bit more than someone you're not used to because you know he fits.
That's true.
Yeah, that's true too.
Yeah.
It was
Well,
I think it was solid.
And you can't forget Kyle Aucoin.
Oh yeah, they brought in Kyle Aucoin. He's a great defenseman.
Yeah, you can't forget him.
Yeah, know so much about him.
Bjorkstrand's been having a pretty decent year at the.
He's always been having decent seasons with Seattle.
Yeah, no,
Like he helped.
he's a good player.
He was
Yeah.
I don't remember if he was their assistant captain one of those years in Seattle,
Well, he
but he
made the
helped them.
All-Star game a couple years ago.
Yeah,
He had
and he helped them.
59 points last year.
Yeah,
He's
he helped them get to the
37-61.
second round of the playoffs, and they lost in seven, I believe, to Dallas that year. From what I
Seattle made it
remember,
to the second round. Why do I not
they
remember that?
did. They did.
Yeah, they're so forgettable.
They're honestly I've always said Seattle is the definition of mid. Like they're
Oh,
not bad, they're not good,
1000%.
they are
Hey,
so mid.
Shane
No, it's
Wright's
the
But
elite.
Red
their
Wings.
jerseys
Red
are so
Wings.
sick though.
Shane
Yeah.
Wright's elite.
Shane Wright. He's a goat. I like Shane Wright.
Better than Slavkovsky.
Just yeah, so we'll
Yeah.
move forward. No one really cares about Desjardins
Whoa,
going
whoa. I love you, Vinny. Have fun in San Jose.
going to San Jose. Just because we have a couple Penguins fans here, we'll discuss a little bit about them trading Michael Bunting and a fourth for Luke Shen and Tommy Novak. Obviously, we'll
I
get into later what ends up happening with
I
those, but
I love Tommy Novak. Oh my goodness. He's played like 3 games and now he's injured for a bit because he blocked a shot in like the collarbone, but he sat there and ate it. You could see his face. The second the guy winded up, he knew he was going to get injured and he just sat there and ate it. I love him so much. He's such a beauty.
what about the other Pittsburgh fan, Mateo? What do you think?
I think it was a good trade because we ended up flipping Luke Shen for picks, and Michael Bunting's been doing absolutely fucking shit all
Whoa,
this
whoa,
year.
whoa,
So
whoa, whoa, whoa!
Whoa,
Don't
whoa,
speak
whoa.
on my
Michael
glorious
Bunting
team.
is not a good
Mateo,
hockey player. You know that, right?
Michael Bunting is so good. We f too
Okay.
bad though. We flipped him like I think like a week after he had appendicitis surgery.
That's not nice.
that's actually
And
like
That
he
is
such a
not
already
nice.
bad.
no, but
Yeah.
for us, he was like week to week going to be out like 2 months, no timetable. He's already played for Nashville. Like
Kyle said, "Get well soon, buddy." But we're gonna trade you, by the way. So
Kyle did not say get
have
well
fun.
soon. Kyle's grandma probably did.
Oh man. So yeah, and then moving forward on the day before trade deadline, there was or wait a second, sorry. Yeah, the day before trade deadline, there was the Colorado trade. That was, I guess we will address that we aren't really going to talk about it because it wasn't that close to deadline, but obviously we know about the huge trade, the Mikko Rantanen trade to Carolina, which is we know what happens with Mikko Rantanen, so we'll talk about that after. But anyways, Colorado acquired Brock Nelson and William Dufour from the Islanders for Callum Ritchie, Oliver Shillington, a first or a first round pick, or what am I
Nope,
reading?
it's a
Oh, it's a
first round
20.
pick
Oh, first in
in
2026
either
or
year.
2027.
Yeah,
Got
yeah.
it. Got it. And a third.
Let's
My
get
bad.
let's get
I'm
going.
illiterate. Um,
The worst trade of the deadline because Brock Nelson is overrated and terrible.
but like realistically, what they gave up a first, a third. Shillington's actually not bad.
But like the first is going to be like a
Tom
mid
Ritchie.
first. Like they're out in the
Yeah.
playoff. Like or it's the Islanders first, or sorry, Avalanche first. So like
Yeah.
it'll be a higher first, but it's like come on.
Eh,
For Brock Nelson.
yeah, I'm not. I
they,
don't
they
Brock
really.
needed
Nelson.
us.
But you know what?
They
It's
need a
not even
second line
that
center
bad.
though.
Yeah, because when you lose
Yeah.
Rantanen, you got to replace him somehow.
That's
So they
not
replaced him
like
with
even
Brock
a
Nelson.
Rantanen
No,
replacement though. That was Natchez. Like this is like a Gabriel Landeskog replacement who might be coming back and like he said he might play tomorrow.
Yeah, he was practicing, which is cool to see.
Yeah,
But
he told the equipment manager to have his stuff ready for Wednesday. So
yeah, I'm sure this guy's been off for 3 years and he thinks he's going to come back tomorrow. You hang him up, pal. Actually, I have nothing against Gabriel Landeskog. Great guy,
he's
but
sick.
yeah, he is sick. But no, that was a big trade. But like, yeah, I don't think like Colorado's still a great team, but I just don't think Brock Nelson was like game changing for them. Like
No.
I feel like they could have got someone much better if they wanted a center. Like they could have gone out and got like Ryan
Anyone.
O'Reilly or like
They like if
Shen.
if Landeskog comes back, this trade looks even worse because
Yeah,
now Brock Nelson will be moved to the third line, and they could have used all of that stuff. They probably would have had to add a little bit more and got a guy like
Isn't
Rickard Rakell.
Landeskog a winner though? A
Mm,
winger?
Pretty sure he's a center.
No, he's a winger. Landeskog?
I'm pretty sure I like wasn't McKinnon on
He's a
his
left
wing for a
wing.
little bit, or
He's a
am I
left
just thinking of the
wing.
opposite?
yeah. I think you're
But
thinking the
I can see
opposite.
Charlie Coyle kind of. Charlie Coyle's sneakily good sometimes. He's
But
on the
either
Charlie
third
Coyle
way,
line.
is no. Charlie Coyle is
Yeah.
pretty solid. He has flashes where you're like, damn, this guy's pretty damn good.
Well, you
Um,
you know Dante from last year.
Minnesota legend Charlie Coyle
yeah, let's move on. I don't want to talk about this anymore.
and Bruins legend Charlie
Oh,
Coyle.
and then Mateo made sure to put a huge trade in here. Anaheim Ducks got Oliver Shillington for future consideration.
so much
Uh,
for skipping over here. Let's
that was a big one. But no, I'm joking.
Oh,
We'll
Anthony
skip the.
Beauvillier, the
This is one
king.
of the biggest trades, like the one I'm about to say that I don't understand. It makes no sense for either team,
Whoa,
in
you're
my
gonna skip.
opinion.
You're gonna skip a big trade.
No, I'm not. This one makes no sense to like for either team, in my opinion, because it looks like they're going in opposite directions of where they're going. In the Senators getting Dylan Cousins and Dennis Gilbert in a second for Josh Norris and Jacob Bernard Docker, who the Sabres got. Norris and Bernard Docker, like it just feels like that's the team closer to the playoffs, what they would get, not the Buffalo Sabres, who gave up. I'm pretty sure Cousins is like a year or two younger and a second plus more. Like it makes no sense.
Yeah, I don't really get that trade either.
He's been great.
And I was gonna say, and Dylan Cousins has
Yeah,
been
yeah,
absolutely thriving on Ottawa.
Oh
Well,
yeah,
yeah.
he's
take a
sick.
take a player off Buffalo and see what happens. So, um, he's
Literally, yeah.
he's been thriving on Ottawa. But like, yeah, you take anyone off Buffalo, put them on a half decent team, and they're probably gonna do all right. So, no, that was a big trade. I did not expect that at all. Like, it was just very random. Brady Tkachuk was crying because Josh Norris was gone. Like, grow up, pal. Like.
I hope he gets traded to the Shadow Realm.
Like literally wipe your tears, grow up. Like honestly, I do not like Brady
Get
Tkachuk.
ready to play in China, pal.
But I can't really say much because the Ottawa Senators are making an insane playoff push right now. So it's
Yeah.
just it's strange. You're right. It's strange. Like Josh Norris, it just didn't make much sense. Like it just okay, you got Dylan Cousins for Josh Norris, which did it really make your team that much better? And you gave up Bernard Docker for Does Dennis Gilbert even played an
Fourth
NHL
line.
game? Who is that?
He's
No
Dennis
idea.
Gilbert.
And a
Dennis
second.
Gilbert.
Like I don't know. It just I agree with Ryan. It doesn't really make much sense. It's two teams making a trade that yeah, I agree. Like it would make more sense if they were on opposite sides. But yeah. So anyways, we can
This is
move
his like seventh season, and his most points he's had is 7 points in 34
who
games.
Dennis
So
Gilbert?
yeah,
Who is
7
that?
and 34 for a defenseman isn't bad.
That's actually not terrible. I don't
That's
even know who
not
this guy
bad at
is. That's
all.
actually decent.
7 points in 34.
That's not
Wait,
bad.
how many games has he played in his
He's played
career?
one oh in his career
Yeah.
108.
What the
How many points in
wow.
108 games?
19.
Wow, that okay.
Honestly,
And
That's
he's
he had
over
minus
like
19 though. That's not
no,
great for a
that's not good.
defenseman.
No,
yeah,
that does not.
is that how fucking like bad the Sabres are that I don't even know a guy that's played 108 games for them because who the fuck watches the
Well, it's
Buffalo
over
Sabres?
7
His penalty
years.
minutes is
Yeah.
138.
True, he's only played
So he's
100
kind of
games over
good.
7 years. So how good could he really be?
Yeah,
Not very
but
good.
But yeah, so anyways, moving on from that one. The only one I do want to, I know this wasn't a huge trade, but I did want to address the Oilers getting Jake Wallman only because it was Jake Wallman for a conditional first and Carl Berglund. Only reason I want to address this is because obviously the Oilers wanted to address their blue line, which they needed to do because their blue line is horrendous. Is Jake Wallman really gonna like change your blue line?
no, it probably made it worse.
But like honestly, like your top pair is still who's playing on their top pair right now? It's Bouchard and what? Is Nurse playing on the top pair?
Bouchard
I
Oh,
hope
and
not.
Ekholm? Is it Ekholm?
I think it might be Ekholm.
I don't know who obviously I know their defense, but I just don't know how they pair them up. But
They're-
um
It's just weird.
yeah, right now
It's
they have
It
Ekholm,
is weird.
Bouchard, Nurse, Stetcher, Wallman, and Kulak.
like get out of
Wallman's
here,
on the third
man.
line. Yeah.
Like yeah, you
The
got a
first,
third pair defenseman. Wow, that's really gonna turn around your
and
defense.
and yet they
It's not
still
even
didn't
that.
misuse first round picks the most this trade deadline. So
Hmm.
Hmm.
It's not even
So-
just that. Edmonton didn't even get what they needed, which was a goalie, because Skinner's been absolutely
Yo,
garbage.
yo, yo,
no,
yo,
they need
yo.
defensemen more than a goalie. They
You
need
still think
defensemen
so?
more than a.
No, I think they
I
do need
But
defense
they,
more
they
than a
also
goalie.
need a
playoffs,
goalie.
a good
They
goalie.
also,
I'm
when
not
it comes to
Yeah.
Still,
playoffs, you need
you
a
can't.
goalie.
I'm the like Mateo will like say this because I did this with Tristan Jari. I am 100% first to blame defenseman over goalie. Stuart Skinner's a good goalie. He has no help.
I don't know if I'd say Stuart Skinner's a good
He
goalie. I'd say he's
he's a
like
No.
good goalie.
decent.
He's
I
decent.
think they could
What?
use a better goalie, obviously, if they want to be
Yeah.
No, like
contenders.
what?
But
Like
I'm so blaming that decor before I
No,
blame
I
him.
agree.
no,
I
no, no.
100%
I'm
agree.
not saying that. I'm not saying that. I'm just saying like you need to address both. Like you can't.
But
Yeah.
But
it's
are you
If
really
your
better.
gonna
goalie, if your
But it's
goalie is shaky,
but are you
yes.
gonna
you
find
can't.
a better goalie than Stuart Skinner
No,
at the deadline? Like
no.
I don't think anyone's
Probably
trading.
not,
Also,
Eric.
Oh
at
well,
the same
Spencer
time,
Knight. Spencer Knight, he's
Yeah.
young, but
at the same time, are you really gonna go put another goalie that'll be similar caliber to Stuart Skinner behind that same defense and watch him
yeah.
struggle and
Mm.
then
I
waste
think
Yeah,
assets?
I
you're right. You're
I
right.
think
You're
they
right.
did need to address both, but at the deadline you can't really
You
address
have
both. You
you
have to
have to
pick one
address
or the
defense
other.
first
Yeah,
because
That's
and
fair. That's
yeah.
fair.
if you address goalie first, that goalie is going to lose his confidence. You're going to suck. If you address defense first, either your goalie gets better or you know it's your goalie's fault, and then you get another guy.
Yeah, or they could have just got Peter Mrazek. He's a great goalie. Anyways,
No, no, no.
Wallman's not the
I
most
get what you're saying. I
defensive
get what you're
defenseman
saying.
though.
sorry,
Like
what did Mateo say?
He's not the most
Wallman's not the
defensive
most.
defensive.
Yeah, he's pretty offensive.
Oh
Yeah,
yeah,
no,
So
that's what I
he
don't.
they
sucks.
wanted.
That's
Yeah,
what
if you wanted defense, Jake
Oh,
Wallman's not your guy,
like, what's he gonna
bro.
do? Gritty into the
Yeah.
defensive zone?
oh, Mateo, I'm not saying they did an adequate job of fixing it.
They
They
just
probably
tried
got
to.
worse.
Yeah.
They probably got worse.
Yeah.
But yeah, that I don't know. I just wanted to highlight that because I didn't think it was that great. But anyways, yeah, I guess moving forward, I guess we should mention just because we mentioned it earlier. Then the Penguins traded Luke Shen away for a second and a fourth, like Mateo
That
addressed. I just wanted to
that
say that
yeah,
was
that was
I think that's
smart.
good.
that
That's
was
a
a
really good
Dubas
trade. Yeah.
masterclass because I would say
Yeah.
Novak is slightly better than Bunting.
Mhm.
And we traded a fourth basically for Luke Shen and
Mhm.
got a second and a fourth for Luke Shen. So
Yeah.
we got a free second round pick.
No, that was a great flip
Yeah.
from Dubas,
Dubas
100%.
Dubas was on
Yeah.
one getting overpaid worth of picks for people.
Yeah, that
I'll say
was
that.
no, that was very good. But yeah,
Yeah.
so moving forward, next somewhat interesting one was I just thought it was interesting that Jets getting Brandon Tanev for a second. I think that was actually a good move from the Jets.
And it's so good.
I think that
Yeah.
Brandon Tanev really helps out their depth because I think the Jets are a solid team, but they could use a little more depth, and I think that was a good addition for that. And he's got that grit as well for the playoffs. Like I think that was a great move for them, and only and a second's not, at least they didn't give up a first like some teams.
A second's a lot, but you need those types of players, and when you
Yeah,
need them, the market's higher.
exactly.
He's a good
And
energy guy.
and
Very
yeah,
good energy
when you
guy.
need
Turbo.
a certain
Yeah.
position, like the market's higher, as we'll discuss later.
They also
Uh,
know him. Like he was there for a few years. I
yeah,
forget
yeah,
how
yeah,
long
yeah.
ago, but
Yeah. But yeah, and then getting into
speaking
my
of first round picks and
Oh,
I
prospects.
will be the first to speak and say, let me say the trade. So the Leafs got Scott Lawton, a fourth and a sixth from the Flyers for Grabenkin and a first. Okay. Let me just say, I will say, was he worth a first? No, not even close. I do not think we should have given up, even if it like didn't make sense that you're giving up Grabenkin and a first, but shouldn't have been a first, 100%. Scott Lawton, decent player, not worth a first round pick. I think we did need to address our center depth 100%. Would I have rathered Braden Chen? Yes. Would I have rathered Ryan O'Reilly? Yes, even though he said he didn't want to come to Toronto. What a bastard. But yeah, Scott Lawton was, I think, probably the best player we could have got for center depth that was still available. But he still shouldn't have been worth a first round pick, I will admit.
It was a first and your third best prospect. And yet that's not even the most you gave up in a trade on
Well,
trade
third
deadline.
third best prospect on the Leafs
Well,
is
yeah, you
like
guys,
me.
yeah, well, it's not even the most you
And he,
gave up in a trade today.
Yeah, but we'll
he's on
talk
the
about the
fourth
other one
line
because the other
too.
one's more justified. What?
Ah,
He's on the fourth line.
Oh, Lawton. Yeah, they put him on the fourth line last game.
Bro, you gave up a first for
Okay,
fourth
okay,
liner,
they
bro.
put
you
him.
gave up a first round pick and your third best
He,
prospect for a
he's supposed to
fourth
be our
liner.
third line center, but we
For a
put him on the fourth
still
line
for a
last
third
game.
I
liner,
mean,
Why
that's
is
still
there's other
crazy.
why
players
is
you could
Max
have given up a
Domi
first
there?
rounder for,
Yes, I do
Yeah.
and
agree.
we will get into that late
You
a
could have
little
you
bit
could have
later.
gotten Ricard Raquel and then been lost Marner and got slightly less than half the slightly over half the production for less than half the money.
Yeah.
I do agree. You're correct. But yeah, we'll move on from that one. We can talk a little bit about well, we already kind of mentioned how the Avs got Charlie Coyle, so there's no point in really talking about that. The Bruins just
Oh,
collapse.
this is a big one.
Um,
Oh,
Yeah.
this
yeah.
okay,
This is a
before
big
no, we're gonna leave that
enchilada.
one for last because that one's
Yeah.
the biggest one. We're gonna leave the biggest trade for last.
Can we go to the
Um,
actual biggest
we'll,
one
we'll talk about,
before?
yes, the biggest one. Pittsburgh Penguins acquired defenseman Connor Timmins and forward Connor Dewar from the Toronto Maple Leafs for a fifth.
I don't want to hear anything.
Dubas
Dewar's already
masterclass.
scored a Dewar's
Yeah.
Dewar has 3 goals in 4 games or 5 games, whatever it is now, and Timmins has a goal in that same time. I don't want to hear it. They're cooking.
But yeah, that was a little bit of just Dubas saying, "Hey Leafs, I'll take your cap, no problem," and then he took our cap for us.
Yeah, we were
But
probably close to the floor.
but we'll save the last two big ones. So we'll just skip over to why Dubas made that trade. Because the Leafs acquired defenseman Brandon Carlo from the Bruins for forward Fraser Minton, a conditional first, and a fourth. I will say I know Ryan's not going to agree. Mateo's probably not going to agree. Chris probably isn't going to agree. I'm probably going to be on my own here, but I don't think giving up a first for Brandon Carlo is that terrible. Yes, we give a Fraser Minton too, who is probably our second best prospect. And okay, fourth, who cares? But a first in Fraser Minton, yes. But when you're looking at Jake Wallman getting traded for a first, I don't see how a first and Minton is too much for Brandon
Well,
Carlo when he's 80 times better
Your
than
take
Jake
is
well,
Wallman.
growing
no,
on me,
no,
to be
but
honest.
Dante, what you
Yeah.
have to realize is Edmonton's not the pinnacle of good management.
Okay,
Ken
no,
Holland.
they're not. But obviously, that's the market. So when they
But
make that trade,
is it the
Boston's going to
market or is
say,
that the market in Edmonton?
okay, but Boston's going to say, yo, Jake Wallman, that bum off the street, just got traded for a first. You need to give us a first and Minton for Carlo.
Yeah,
Still, it's not
that's
worth it. You
it's not a
gave,
terrible
but
take,
it's not worth
Massey.
it
Yeah.
in
It's
this
not worth it,
deadline.
but it's the market. Like I guess
It,
Dante's kind
you
of
don't
right
always
here
have
on
to go
this
up for
one.
the market. If you're gonna go all
But
in,
we
go
needed
all
it.
in.
But
No,
we
But
needed it.
Dante.
I think we know that they haven't gone all in.
If you're gonna go all in, go all in. You don't lose 2 first round picks and 2 of your 3 best prospects, and you barely got better.
Mm, yeah,
Yeah, but
because you
those,
could
You got
trade those
better.
Carlo's
two
Don't
pretty
get me
firsts
wrong.
for
good
some
Don't get me
though.
other
wrong. You
people.
got better. The players you got were good players, but you didn't get better enough for it to be worth what you gave up overall, which is why you should have waited.
Mm.
If you're not gonna go all in, wait till the offseason when everyone's cheaper.
yeah, I do understand that. I think the only thing that I think does need to be addressed though in this is we're talking about, okay, we gave up two first, Fraser Minton, Grabenkin, and a fourth as like pretty much everything we gave up, and all we got was Brandon Carlo and Scott Lawton. Don't get me wrong, that doesn't sound all that great, I will admit.
It's
But
terrible.
you do also have to
Yeah.
keep in mind you're getting a guy, Scott Lawton, who signed to a contract next year, and there was retention, and you're getting Brandon Carlo, who signed for 3 more years with retention. That
Yes,
that's a
That's fair. That's
I
fair.
that's a
understand
pretty
that.
big deal.
I understand that, but at the same time, if you're like the Leafs clearly didn't go all in, but they gave
No,
up all the pieces they could use this year and next year to go all in.
but
They
they
can't
gave up.
physically go all in anymore, which means that unless they have a huge free agency, which if they re-sign Marner, they can't physically have, their team's going to be the same next year, and it's going to result they have this year. However,
There's even a
they could be
potential that the
good.
Leafs are even slightly worse next year if Marner decides to leave.
Well, no,
but
then they'll
they
have a shit ton of money.
but they gave up a lot for what I'm trying to say is you see teams give up this much, sure, going all in, but then they have 1 year of that. We have three
Yes,
years guaranteed of these guys under contract.
but it's not the same impact. You gave up stuff that you give up when you want that impact of all in. If you only give up one of the firsts, like fine, whatever. You give up two firsts and two of your three best prospects. You have nothing else to improve your team with asset wise. You have nothing else.
Well, we do. We have Easton Cowan, our best
What's he
prospect.
gonna get you?
A lot. He's our best
No,
prospect.
he's not gonna get you a lot. If you traded him, he'll probably he'll get you around the value of a late first round pick, which is where you drafted him. He'll
Yeah,
get you, but
yeah.
that's not a lot. The late first is basically a second. That's why first fly from contending teams.
Well, yes, and that's the same with us. Obviously,
But
our
your
first are
first
late,
isn't a late first. Yours is a mid first.
but it's not. It's a late first.
It's like what, like 19, 20?
Probably a little bit later, but yeah, around there. And
So
you also got to keep in mind one thing we didn't mention is it's also a conditional pick. And the condition is that if it's a top five pick, because it's the Flyers pick, then we get the pick back and it goes to the next year. So that's also, I'm saying for the Brandon Carlo
the
one. I don't know
the
if the
Flyers
other
aren't
one.
getting the top five pick. They
Well,
have
it's
to get
not this year,
really
next
lucky,
year.
and they're going to be better next year.
Probably. I'm just saying it's possible that if
No,
it's
I
a high
know.
pick, we'll get it. But
I know. I just don't. I know, like, obviously, I'm not an NHL GM. They probably know more than me here. But I don't like
That's
giving up.
debatable.
I don't like giving up the pieces to go all in without getting the return of going all in.
I
This
understand
was a
that.
seller's market. This was seller's market. If you're not a top three team in hockey, I don't think you should have made a move this market with how much people were going for.
Yeah, I understand that. It was very high. Everyone was very high value this year. And I
The
think,
fact, like, it's crazy. The fact that Dubas's ask for Rickard Rakell was two firsts and A+ prospect, and he
yeah.
got phone calls.
Hmm.
Obviously, not offering that, offering less.
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
I love Rakell. He's not worth that, and he was getting
Yeah.
phone calls still. It's crazy.
No, yeah, the ask price were very high on a lot of on everyone, but I think honestly, to me, I understand your point, and I guess to me, it's more just what you value, whether you value kind of locking down players for the future or whether you want to use that to go all in. And obviously, we've kind of had this discussion over text on Instagram. And I know all three of these guys are all about going all in, which I understand. I'm not saying I don't understand it. I personally like, I guess I'm in my head, I'm a lot more careful. I worry about going all in and then having nothing for the future at all, like not even guys locked up. But I understand you are right. A lot of teams that
Yeah,
go all in end up winning the cup or
yeah.
the whatever it is. But
It's also what you need to like realize. I know like it's difficult to like realize till it happens. Going all in when you have your core players locked up is all that matters. Because,
yeah,
for example, 2008, Penguins went all in, traded for the best free agent available or best like guy available in Hossa. Lost in the final. Hossa walked on them.
mhm.
They still had their core and had money and made a better team the next year.
Yeah,
It's not all over if the guy walks. You can
that's
always
fair.
work in free agency, but it's
Yeah.
always worth that attempt in getting that guy.
No, I understand that. Yeah, you're right. I obviously being a Leaf fan have an experience making a run. So for me, it's kind of like that's the only reason that the thing that's scaring me is like if we can't make a run with this team, then we're going to give away our future to go all in to not make a run again. That's the thing that worries me. But you're right. Like it
The
does
worst place,
happen.
yeah, the worst place to be is the spot the Leafs have been the past few years because your pick isn't good and you're not getting anywhere.
Yeah, yeah,
Obviously, hopefully, like, well, not for me, but hopefully for
yeah.
you, that these guys get them a little bit
Yes,
further.
yes.
Scott Lawton seems like a playoff type of player, so does
Mhm.
Carlo. But you just I don't like the idea, like you said, for locking guys up for the future when the guys aren't young enough to be like, okay, you're gonna get better
Yeah, yeah, yeah,
over
yeah.
the whole going all in. Obviously, still great players, just the market was kind of
No,
fucked.
I know what you mean. The market was pretty messed up, and speaking of being familiar, Brandon Carlo is very familiar to the Leafs because we lost him in the first round multiple times. So
Multiple times.
he's a
Both
familiar face. But hopefully he comes to the
lots of
locker room.
playoff
He's just like,
experience.
"Hey guys, the reason we demolish you every year is because of this."
All right.
But
Yeah.
Yeah. So, anyways, the second biggest trade of the entire deadline was the Florida Panthers acquiring forward Brad the Rat Marchand from the Boston Bruins for a conditional second round pick.
Well,
Um,
the condition makes it a first.
yes, I was going to say the condition pretty much makes it. It's if he plays what 50% of the games or
It's if
something in the
I think
playoffs.
it's if they win like 2 rounds and he plays 50% or
Yeah,
something.
so it's probably going to be a
Something
first.
like that.
But
Yeah.
yeah, that fucking pissed me off because Florida's already an annoying ass team with Kachuk and Bennett, and now they just got fucking Marchand. I do not
Aren't
want
they
to play
all
them.
going to be on a line too?
Yes, they
Said?
said they're all going to be
Yeah.
on a line. Will probably shoot myself when I watch that.
I hope you guys
Yeah,
play them.
that's an
They probably
anti-Leafs
will. They
line.
probably
Yeah,
will.
I hope you guys play them, and
anti-Leafs.
that line matches up with Matthews and Marner. Marner's gonna cry.
Marner's just gonna get mad. He's like, I don't want to play
No,
anymore.
Marner's actually gonna cry. If that's the line, Marner's actually gonna cry. You're gonna
Brad,
see him
I thought we
crying in
were
the corner.
friends.
You see him crying on the bench.
But yeah, it was a big trade, but like honestly, let's be real. It was a big trade because Brad Marchand is Brad Marchand and he's been on Boston his entire career. Whereas realistically, like there's probably other names that got traded, like Brandon Carlo, that are I'm joking. But there were other names that got traded that we already discussed, like who's the other one we said that's probably better than Brad Marchand? Dylan Cousins um, is probably a better player than Brad Marchand. Brad
All right.
Marchand.
You on
So
crack?
Dante, you can't
Bro's on.
host this.
Okay,
You
bro's
can't
getting
host the
Luke
podcast
here.
anymore.
No,
But
I'm
Dante,
joking.
this is obviously I know this wasn't an option for the Leafs because I don't think one, Brad would go. I don't think two, the Bruins would have traded him there. But this is what going all in looks like. And Florida, with this one move alone, not even with their all in on Seth Jones, who,
Caught
like,
favorites
with
instantly.
this one
Oh,
move
easily.
alone, did more
Yeah.
and got better than the Leafs, who gave up more on their two players. Yes, with term, the Panthers can't hold on to Brad after this year. He's leaving.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But it's just that one
But yeah, for
all-in.
this year, 100%, I'd agree.
But I don't
Um,
mind what Florida's doing. Like
No,
they
it's
know
great. I
they
prefer
know they
it.
know
Yeah.
they have aging guys, and yeah, Ekblad is gonna be out for 25 games because he decided to use PEDs. But you
Come
know
to
what?
lift big.
They're pretty much just going all in, and this is how you do it. You just kind of risk it all for a second and run at the cup because you know Bobrovsky's older. You know Tkachuk is I don't know how old Tkachuk is, but you know you have all these guys who are
Close
aging
prime.
core. So why not just give it another couple attempts just to go and get a cup?
yeah, they're doing it all just to
Yeah.
lose to the Leafs. But yeah,
No, they built the perfect anti-Leafs line though. That's the crazy part.
Yeah.
Like it
yeah.
seems like Florida is built
All they need is
just
Nick
to beat
Paul
the
on that
Leafs.
line, and it's even better.
Oh my God, yeah.
And Paul Byron.
So if you think about it, you take it as a compliment if you're the Leafs saying, "Oh, guess what? Florida's so scared of us, they have to get all of our enemies together."
Well, realistically,
Yeah.
like
I don't understand what
I don't
Boston is
think Buffalo
doing.
would be scared if they played the Leafs in the first round.
yeah, I was gonna say what Mateo was about to say though. Boston did not have a great deadline. Like I know they're
They
selling their team.
So
they were selling.
I know they're selling their team because they know they're not making a run.
They
Obviously, I
also know
understand
Brad's going to
that.
come back next year.
Oh yeah, because
yeah.
he's pretty much one of those rental players. Like
Yeah, like no, don't get me wrong. I understand what they're doing, but I feel like first of all, I think they could, in my opinion, could have got a little bit more from Marshawn. And
Way more.
who's
Well,
Gross
considering
no,
they
point
got
per
a
game, I
first for
think. No?
Carlo, they
but
got a
also
second for Marchand.
no, because he had a no move and said, if you're trading me, I will only go to Florida.
yeah, so
So
it was
they
all
lost
they could
all the
get from
leverage.
Florida. And what the hell could Florida have given them other than that?
They lost all their leverage. That's it.
Seth
But
Jones. You could give
who
him Seth Jones.
who's the other one? We were just talking about earlier that the Bruins made a trade. I don't remember who it was, but it was also just kind of it was the Charlie Coyle.
Yeah,
Um,
that was a good trade though.
They got what they get? Casey Middlestat, William Zellers, and a second. Not terrible. Um, Not bad. I don't know. I feel like the Bruins could have done it. I feel like the Bruins tried to blow up the team, but didn't blow up the team. Like they kind of like went like we're gonna half blow it up. I don't know. It's just
Well, you
kind
can't
of
get rid of Pasternak.
yeah. No. You're not getting rid of
Yeah.
Pasternak, but it was just kind of weird. Like they're hanging on to like certain guys that I'm just like, do you
Or
really care to hang
McAvoy. They'll
on?
never
I
get rid of
think I
McAvoy.
think
Yeah.
their goal was to blow it up for this year, but be competitive next
I
year.
see. Yeah,
Yeah,
that makes
yeah.
sense.
Yeah.
Because if you
Yeah.
know Marchand's coming back, which he probably will, because he's kind of a rental player for
I hope he
Florida.
goes to Montreal.
That'd be actually interesting
It'd be
though.
so funny.
The-
Yeah, I don't know.
Him and Cole would be the midget squad. The
It'll
midget life.
it'll be interesting because we haven't really got to see Marshawn much because he's hurt and he's not going to be back till pretty much playoffs.
What
But
are you talking about? The mascot's a rat.
Perfect
but,
fit.
but the
Stanley E.
playoffs,
Rat.
watching a full healthy Florida lineup like with Kachuk back, Marshawn back is going to be damn scary.
It's
But
gonna be insane.
moving on to another team that got much better. Excuse me. The Dallas Stars. This is the biggest trade of the deadline. Acquired Mikko Rantanen from the Hurricanes for Stankoven, a conditional first, another conditional first, a third, and another third. So 2 firsts, 2 thirds, and Logan Stankoven. First thing I want to say before we talk about Mikko Rantanen himself, Logan Stankoven, unreal. Great player.
He's so
He's a
good.
great
Yeah,
player.
he's so
Yeah.
good. Great
Yeah.
player. That
He'd be good in the future.
like if I
Yeah.
was a Stars fan, I would be like, as much as you're getting Mikko Rantanen, I'd be really hurt losing Stankoven just because
He's one of those young
been
guys you
good.
also watched get good because he wasn't
Yeah.
like amazing to start.
Exactly.
Obviously,
Yeah.
World Juniors, he was sick.
Yeah.
Like,
Yeah. He's going to be a great player. And I just think I gotta say the Stars getting Rantanen. I I had the Stars as one of my cup favorites at the start of the year. Now that they have Mikko Rantanen, like yes, they lost Stankoven, but obviously Rantanen, as of right now, is an upgrade, a pretty big upgrade from Stankoven. Yes, in 5 years probably won't be, but right now it is.
Yeah.
Um,
they
Yeah.
better win a cup in the next 2 years because their future's gone.
yeah. I was gonna say, and if we're
Yeah.
talking all in, that is literally the definition of all
Well,
in.
Yeah, yeah.
except for
well,
Wyatt Johnson. Wyatt
No,
Johnson.
Oh,
I
Wyatt
meant,
Johnston's
like
in.
pick wise and
22,
everything. Wyatt Johnson's
yeah.
so sick.
Yeah, but
Yeah.
I want Wyatt Johnson on my team.
yeah, that is the definition of all in. And since we're talking about it, I guess we should address the fact that the Leafs did have a trade lined up for Mikko Rantanen.
Mitchie didn't want to go live in Carolina.
It was supposed to be for Marner, but Mitch
Raleigh.
decided he did not want to waive his no move clause.
After careful decision.
And-
Careful thought, not decision.
And yeah, there was discussion. Kiprios said that it was Marner. What did he say it was? Marner, Cowan, Minton, and 2
No, I
firsts or
saw
something?
I saw Carolina asked for either Marner or Cowan, Nyes, and like some stuff.
Oh, okay. That
But
was
the
it.
Leafs, the thing that confuses me, okay? This is like out of the reports I saw, none were Elliot Friedman. He's the
Mhm.
only one I fully trust.
Yeah, same.
So you never know. The Leafs said Matthew Nyes is untouchable when it came to a Mikko Rantanen trade, similar style player. Rantanen's on another planet, but we're willing to go ask Mitch Marner, who's on another planet from Matthew Nyes. It
Yeah.
makes no sense to me.
it doesn't.
Yeah.
It really doesn't make
And
sense.
you know what? I will agree in the fact of the other reason it doesn't make sense is because I can maybe justify it if they knew they had Nye signed for like 7 years, but he's literally a free agent at the end of the year.
Yeah,
as
he's an
well.
RFA.
So I don't really get that because
Yeah, how are you
honestly,
affording him and Mitch?
I was just about to say, as much as I you guys know I love Nyes, I do think someone's going to offer sheet him, and I think we're going to lose him.
I think
So
someone's gonna
why not
offer
just
sheet
go?
him.
Why not just trade him for then what you could get, and then
Yeah,
there you go. Because if you have a chance to even trade Cowan and Nyes, let's say that's the whole trade package with a first rounder,
Mhm.
I'm doing
Well,
that.
they're out of first rounders by the time this would have happened.
yeah.
Are they?
Yes.
Oh yeah, because the Carlo trade happened after.
It would have had to be
before.
Cowan, Nyes, and like some other stuff.
Yeah.
But then again, you make that trade.
But Nyes was untouchable. It makes no sense. Marner
Exactly,
wasn't.
that's what I'm
Nyes
saying,
It
like-
was.
shouldn't be
like,
untouchable.
but it's
That's
like-
what Chris is saying.
Like it's oh my god,
Yeah.
it pisses me off because like okay, you have a guy who wants to be in Toronto, and then you ask him, hey, can you just like waive your no trade clause for us? No, obviously he's saying no.
I think the only thing is, I think they wanted to say they were in the Mikko Rantanen talks and say they agreed to whatever. They knew fucking Mitch Marner was saying no. If he went to
Mhm.
Carolina, his stats would be terrible. He would, everything he's good at, he would have no chance of ever hitting 100
Yeah.
points. He'd become a 60-point player
Yeah, he
and
would.
cry after every practice because of how hard he has to work. Like,
You're saying next season he'd be
no, if
60
he went to
points?
Carolina.
Like next year he'd get 60
Yeah.
points. No way.
It's-
He wouldn't be a
look at their
60-point
system.
player with
Look at their
the
system.
Hurricanes.
Look at their system.
Mm.
Their
Yeah,
system doesn't
like
fit
to be
players
fair,
like
like
Marner.
Sebastian Aho would be
At
a
least
100-point
80
player on-
points.
But look at what they did to Mikko Rantanen when he was there. He sucked there.
Yeah,
Yeah, he
that's
did.
fair.
But he
And
didn't
their
want to be there
system,
though.
but neither
He
did
told
Mitch.
Rod that he didn't want to fucking
That's
be there on
actually,
his
yeah. Can we
first
just address that? That was
conversation with him.
crazy that Rantanen said, what did he say? As soon as he got traded, he said, I'm not playing here or
No,
something.
he
And,
said there's 4 teams I want to play for, and you're not one of them.
yeah,
You're
like
Yeah,
not one of
that's
what?
them.
actually what he said.
I would punch the shit out of him if I was the coach. Like, why the fuck are you here then?
Well, it
Rod
wasn't
could
his
have fucked
Like,
him
what a
choice.
up.
stupid
So.
comment.
It wasn't his choice to go.
But that made me lose respect. How can you say that to your new fucking coach? Like, what kind of like fucking attitude is that?
I know that
And
that
as
was
like a
pretty terrible.
teammate too. Yeah.
But
Thank God they fucking traded him.
I
anyways,
wish they didn't. It would have been so funny if they got nothing for him.
for context for the
Yeah.
viewers, we don't want this to be a 10-hour episode. So Ryan and I are not going to argue about what we were arguing on Instagram about
Yeah,
earlier.
I told Dante that I would refrain.
Yeah, we're gonna. I'll tell you what we were arguing about, but we will not argue about it because we will literally be here till like 8 a.m. and it's midnight right now. So, we're basically Ryan basically said that Marner is gonna walk at the end of the year most likely because big reason is because they asked him to waive his no move clause for this trade.
Just for
Whereas,
my insight, like just to explain my
yeah, yeah, yeah.
thought process, I think because if you're getting to the point where you're asking Mitch Marner about his no move clause after you've already reached a contract with Mikko Rantanen and that contract has come out, and like you must be pretty close to a trade at least, or have agreed to one, that I like find that Mitch Marner would find that disrespectful, and the fact they thought about it, like I saw he did, means that I believe he did find that disrespectful. And now the Leafs have to give him more than what they offered Rantanen, and I don't think they're going to do that. I think it's a mix of everything.
Whereas I agree with the probably having to give him the same or more than Rantanen. I agree with that aspect of it. The aspect I disagree with is the that he's gonna feel like offended basically by it because I think, in my opinion, I think that the Leafs were basically trying to weigh every option they had. And I understand Ryan's point of they could have weighed it without making discussing the deal. They could have asked Marner first and said, before we discuss anything, do you mind if we would you
Or even
move
now
your
that I realize Nyes is an RFA, just use it with him. No one would care.
but yeah, I do understand that point, but I think the Leafs did it as a because in the end, unfortunately, like when we talk about all this, the not unfortunate, but the hard thing is obviously we don't know what's going on behind closed doors. We don't know how close they are to a contract. They can report all they want, but like we don't know what Marner says to Treliving. We don't know what Treliving says to well, they don't talk. I mean, Ferris, his agent, but we don't know what the agent's saying to Treliving. We don't know what Treliving's saying to the agent. I just think that the Leafs basically said I'll admit they went ahead too quick. They shouldn't have probably organized the trade. I just don't think it offended Marner as much as you'd think it does. But again, we don't know because I don't know Mitch Marner personally. Obviously, Ryan doesn't know Mitch Marner personally. So, none of us know him personally. These are just obviously our assumptions. But I do honestly, I'm not even just saying it because we're on a podcast and we don't want to argue. I do understand your point of view, and that could very well happen.
Well,
I am worried that they're not going to give Marner what he wants though, especially with this happening.
yeah. Well, I mean, we could know him personally if we find his Range Rover, but like at the same time, I feel like for you, it's kind of a lose-lose and like win-win this offseason. Because if you keep Marner, you're losing Nyes.
Yeah,
The offer sheet for Nyes is going to be way too much money. Someone's going to give him 7 or 8 million for
yeah,
some
yeah,
stupid reason, and it's probably going to be Kyle Dubas, and I'm going to cry. And then if you sign Marner, you lose him. Otherwise, you can match the offer sheet
yes.
and get like, and then you lose Marner.
Hmm.
The only thing is, the reason why an offer sheet, I don't know if anyone will offer sheet Nyes, because let's say he is at that like 6 to 8 million, like
I
whatever.
don't remember how much you have to give up for that.
You're at least giving up a first for that much money.
Okay.
And to be honest, am I trading a first round pick alone for Matthew Nyes right now? No, I'm not. And it's first round plus stuff. Dante, this is supposed to
I'm not
piss
gonna
you off.
argue that, but
Mm,
that is
I'm not.
crazy.
I think
Because
I'm gonna have to disagree
no.
with you, man.
Do you want to know why?
Why?
Because the teams that can give up that first and haven't given it up already,
Are
one, it's
high picks.
either for this draft where it's a high pick, and the high picks in this draft, once you get out of the top seven, okay, maybe. But if you have that chance, and the next draft, I'm not giving up a single thing for 2027 because if I somehow give up a chance to get Gavin McKenna for a guy like Matthew Nyes, I think I'd cry.
That's fair for like
And
if
Matthew
you
Nyes isn't making a team who's not in the playoffs now into the playoffs.
you are I do understand that for
Mhm.
a lower end team, which like you said is probably the team that would make the offer sheet. Yeah, you don't want to give up a chance because in the end, as much as I like Matthew Nyes, yes, he's no Gavin McKenna. He's not going to be no,
And
who's going first this year? I forgot his name, but whoever's going
either
Schaefer.
Schaefer or James
yeah,
Higgins,
he's not
depending
going to
on
be
who
no
it is.
Schaefer or whatever. So I do understand that. I do think, yes, if it was a late first or even a mid first,
Don't
I
get me
would
wrong.
say,
I think Nyes is a great piece to have if you're a playoff team and you
mhm.
need that piece to go over the edge. I don't think he's a great piece to have if you're not pushing for that cup. I think he's a piece he's the type of piece that will keep you mediocre but won't excel you.
But you don't think like I'm honestly just curious. You don't think like even for the future though, because he is only what 22, 23.
No, because I think if you're not playing him, he's playing with the perfect players for him.
Yeah.
And that will help his development. But if you take him away from that, he's not going
True.
to develop the same way.
Yeah, that's true. That is a good point. I yeah, no, I agree with that. If he had Connor Bedard's line,
Yeah, like he's not the type of
He'd
guy
be
that
20-point
you
player.
he's not the type of guy you build around. He's the type of guy
yeah.
you bring in to
He's a
build
piece.
around someone
Yeah,
else.
for sure. No, I agree with that.
And even if you have the 15th pick in the draft, but you trade it before that lottery, or
Mhm.
sorry, you can't move up to one anymore because whatever. If you have the
Mhm.
11th pick in the draft, you can
Yeah,
still
yeah,
move
yeah.
up to one, and you trade it before the lottery,
That'd probably
and
be
you
the
get
worst
it.
trade in NHL history.
Yeah, like
Yeah,
if any
yeah.
team who misses the playoffs by like the 11th best odds at the first overall pick or worse trades there first, they're an idiot.
Yeah. No, I agree. I agree. I don't know. It'll be interesting to see what happens in the offseason. But
I
well,
can't wait for Chicago to get the top odds in 2 years for Gavin McKenna and then lose the lottery. And then San Jose get it just to rub it in Bedard's face.
but speaking of offseason, we're gonna get into the NFL offseason in a second. But before we do, I got 3 agree or disagrees for the NHL and 2 for the NFL, and we'll hop right in. So first for the NHL, I think we can quick fire this one because I heard you guys already kind of mention it. So I think we're all gonna say the same thing, but Florida became the Stanley Cup favorite from their trade deadline. Agree or disagree, Mateo?
100% agree. Like
Yeah.
their team's literally built for the playoffs, except for maybe Seth Jones, which
Uh,
still not like a big fan, but I understand why they made it. But
I
yeah, I
I
agree.
I will say I agree. I agree right now, but if Dallas had a fully healthy team, I would disagree because I would put Dallas as my favorite. But Heiskanen sounds like he's going to be out for the first round, and honestly, they're playing Colorado in the first round. Colorado could very easily end up beating them without Heiskanen, and Tyler Sagan is iffy to come back for the first round. So I would say agree right now, but if they were fully healthy, I just like Dallas better just because honestly, purely off, I think Ottinger would outplay Bobrovsky, and I think that they have a not as well built team for the playoffs in the sense of like the grittiness and that style. But I just think such a strong team all around that I
Yeah,
think,
they're just so good.
yeah, I think they'd be the favorite. But right now, with injuries and taking into account everything, I'm going to say agree. But
Yeah, I'm in
Chris,
the exact same boat as you,
oh, you
Dante, so
agree
I
then?
don't need to
Yeah,
say
I'm
anything
gonna
else.
agree. I'm gonna agree too.
All right. So okay, we all agree. We all kind of agree there. But yeah, Ryan and I have the
I
same
think
take.
Dallas is better, but if Heiskanen doesn't come back
Yeah,
for Colorado, they're screwed.
yeah, Heiskanen a huge piece. But okay. Second one. Mikko Rantanen is the best player in our time to be traded at the deadline. Mateo?
Trying to think who else got traded at the deadline.
That's what I'm trying to think too. Honestly, I didn't even think of my agree or disagree before I
Honestly,
um
Mm, honestly, in our time, I think Phil
in our
Kessel,
time, yeah.
but Phil Kessel never got 100 points.
the
So
first name that comes to mind is Phil Kessel. But
I was gonna say I
no, we're
don't
he
think Phil
won.
Penguins
gets
fans.
He once he joined the Penguins, they won 2 cups, bro.
Yeah, but like he was on our third line for most of it.
Yeah, but it's the HBK line. That's not your
No, I
average
know.
third line,
and yeah,
bro.
Oh, I know.
don't think about like what the team did with that
Just
player
like
because we
player.
don't know what
The
like
only
Dallas could
person
win the cup with Rantanen. We don't know.
the only person I'm like thinking of is like potentially Marian Hossa, but I still think Rantanen's better.
Yeah.
But at the same
Oh,
time, does this like
maybe Iginla. Iginla
he was
was pretty
old.
big.
He was
That's the
old
thing.
though.
There were a lot of players like Yager, but he was old.
Yeah, they're all
St.
old.
Louis was old.
Oh, St. Louis.
Yeah,
But
but he
didn't
was
he just win
older.
the? Didn't he get the? When did he get the Art Ross though?
That was
Well,
still
must have
in
been
Like
before that.
Mm-mm.
Tampa, I'm pretty sure.
You know
Roberto
what?
Luongo, Ryan Miller,
I
Gabrick,
feel like it has to be
Callahan.
Rantanen
Oh,
unless
Jeff Carter to the Kings.
Yeah,
that's
but
not he wasn't better than
Oh,
Rantanen
I
at
was
any
gonna
point in
say,
his
and like
career.
in hindsight, it looks good, but
There
like,
like there was no part of his career where he was better than Mikko Rantanen is right now.
yeah, yeah, I'd say agree.
okay,
Rantanen's a
I'll go
top five
agree.
player in
I'll
the
go
league
agree.
Yeah, I'm
Yeah,
when
gonna
he's
I'll
agree
not
say
too.
when
agree.
he's
I
not on
agree.
I'll
Carolina.
agree.
He's a top five player in the league.
Yeah, but
Yeah, you
okay, so
guys
we all
convinced
agree
me.
there.
I agree. Yeah,
Um,
yeah.
I have an interesting one. We already kind of discussed part of this, but I'm actually just curious your takes. I think you guys already. I texted my take in Instagram with Mateo. I think we were talking about it, but simple one. We have to have a Leaf one in here. Brad Treliving is a good NHL GM. Mateo,
Disagree.
agree or disagree?
You know what? He makes some decent moves, but he also makes some fucking garbage ones. Like I can't decide if he's either good or bad. Like I like some of I feel like he's built the Leafs defenseman to be like honestly way better than it was before in my opinion. Like getting Tanev, getting Carlo, they're big defensemen. So did he draft Simone Benoit? Or no?
No, he was before, I think.
Oh.
That was a
But
Pappy
yeah,
Dubas
getting
draft.
yeah, getting those two guys I feel helped bolster the Leafs defense. So I don't know, I'll say can I say I'm in the middle? Is that a
You
mediocre
gotta at
side?
least slightly agree or disagree. If you had to
Okay.
lean towards one.
After this deadline, I'll say disagree because that was
Okay.
genuinely horrible. Yeah, yeah,
Leaning towards this career. Okay, I'm gonna
yeah,
say I'm honestly in the same boat as you in the sense of I'm kind of in
yeah.
the middle, but I'm only gonna say slightly agree just because of before this deadline. I think pretty much what you were saying that he's done a great job at making the blue line much
D
better.
right, yeah.
Obviously he fixed. Okay, I wouldn't say he fixed our goaltending situation, but obviously getting Anthony Stolarz was a huge addition for us.
But Wool
Um,
stinks.
and huh?
But Wool stinks.
and he's just I don't know. I think he's done an okay job. Like I said, I don't think he's done anything fantastic. I don't think he's done anything like absolutely atrocious that he like screwed the team over. But like I'm slightly agreeing. But Chris, you're
Yeah,
good.
I'm in the same boat as you guys. I like the moves. It's just two first round picks is kind of rough for, like losing a bunch of like your future there. So I'm gonna have to slightly agree that he is a decent GM, but makes questionable moves. So it kind of one down
Yeah.
each time.
I strongly disagree. I hate
Oh,
GMs that can't pick up direction, and he seems to be the most lost of any GM in the league. He will make moves that seem like he wants to be a contender, and then he won't, like I said, go all in, but he'll trade his future to just be mediocre. I want a GM that's either going to win me a championship or die trying. I don't want a GM that's just trying to save his job by making the safe moves. I think those GMs are just what keep you mediocre. I genuinely think you have to pick a direction, and he's picked staying mid. I
It's
don't
also it's
agree
also
with it.
hard to tell because we're not in free agency yet. Like I want to see what he does in free agency
They have
That
no
is
before.
his
money.
time. Free
They have no
agency is his
money.
Exactly,
time.
that's what I heard, right? Yeah,
But
Free
what
like
if,
agency is his time. That's what he did.
but,
Oliver Ekman Larson,
but
Anthony
would
Stolarz,
I
Chris Tanev.
would I have
like,
liked of him to make some bigger moves? Absolutely.
but if they sign Marner, they have no money. They can't really do much in free agency. Like, who are you? You're gonna get a bunch of $2 or $3 million players, which, yeah, they can help. But at
That's
the end of the
true.
day, if
Danton
you
Heinen.
saw this team that Dubas and the guys before him built, and it hasn't worked,
He's
and you
just
come
keeping the
in
same
and you
guys.
barely did anything, and you're just staying where you are. Yes, you made the defense better. The defense isn't your problem. You guys can't score in the playoffs. Your problem is that. Your problem is offense in the playoffs. Yes, goaltending helps with that. You need less goals. And defense helps with that. You need less goals. But
I would argue though the
getting
defense before was bad though.
it
Sorry to cut you
was.
off,
It
Ryan.
was bad.
Yeah,
But
yeah.
they need like they need more offense in the playoffs, and they need playoff guys, which, you know, they could have got, but pick a direction. I don't like guys who can't pick a direction, which is why that's the only reason I like not to bring it back to the Penguins like Dubas right now because he's made his intention very clear. I
Yeah.
like knowing what my team's going to do, so I'm not confused. Whereas when I look at the Leafs, I don't know which way they're going.
That's fair. I can't really base I'm only basing Treliving off of kind of what he's done with the Leafs because I don't know too much of what he did with Calgary. Obviously, we all know his
Yeah, I
big
don't
move,
either.
but I don't know too much. I'm just basing on what he's done with the Leafs. And to be honest, as a Leaf fan, I can say in the 2 years that he's been doing it, he's done a better job than Kyle shit Dubas. No, I'm joking. He's not shit, but he has done a better job than Kyle Dubas
But
because
how?
I'll
I mean, well,
explain.
how are you explaining? He got
I
Ryan O'Reilly and
disagree.
helped you win a playoff series.
Okay, and Trilliving's had what 1 year of the playoffs? You want to give the guy a chance?
That's what I was
But
saying to
he
Ryan
also
How can
already
you
before.
had
say he's better already?
but he
Yeah.
already had like a full core built for him.
Yes, and Dubas built a full core and had what 6 years of that full core
But
and
at the
made the
same time, when you core, it's so much easier to see. The thing is, it's easier to see from the outside than the inside sometimes what the issue
Yeah.
is because you draft those players, you get to know them. It's what always happens. It's like when you fire a coach and get a spark. You see from the outside, whatever. This like he just hasn't made those moves that you want to see a GM make when he's had that time to see the issue with the team.
well, but he hasn't really. He's been with the team for literally a
But he
year.
can see it from the outside. He's been in the NHL. He like
Mhm.
guys look around.
Yeah, of course, guys look around, and he addressed those issues this offseason with bolstering the blue line with, like I just said, Tanev and Ekman Larson, who Tanev is our best defensive defenseman,
Yes,
and he got a goaltender in Anthony Stolars, and yeah, okay, he hasn't. What is he supposed to do to the forwards?
figure something out.
But what are you
Score
supposed to do when you have
scoring.
Matthew? But what are you supposed to do when you have $40 million in four guys?
I don't know.
And who
That's his
signed
bit.
those
That's
$40 million?
that's.
Who signed them? Oh, Kyle Dubas.
And would you
So
rather not have those four
I'm
players?
I'm not saying that, but what do you
Exactly.
want him to do?
Like what Tampa
What he
did,
needs to
kind
do
of.
is figure it
Yeah.
out because that's what he's getting paid millions of dollars to
I
do.
I understand, but the same way Dubas ran that same team back so many years because there's only so much you can do when you
I
have
understand
$40
that.
million
No, no,
dollars.
no. I understand that. But at the same time, a new person coming in should have a new perspective instead of just doing what the old guy did and making significant, but not significant enough to make a difference changes.
But that is what he did. He felt that the blue line and goaltending was an issue, and that's why he bolstered the blue line and got goaltending.
I understand that, but your issue's scoring in the playoffs.
But again, what are you supposed to do? There, like you keep saying, figure it out. Okay, but if you can't say what he's supposed to do, then obviously there's not really much of a
Move
solution.
someone.
So you're saying they should move one of those big four guys?
I'm saying if you can't figure it out without moving one, you move one.
Okay, so again, he's had 1 year of taking a shot at the playoffs. 1 year, like
I
one
understand that.
singular year. So can the
But
guy have
is
the
it
chance to maybe see how it goes with a bolstered blue
he could
line
have a
and better
chance,
goaltending?
but you can't say he's better than the guy who built the core when he's barely changing it.
Well, I can say he's better because again, he built the defense and built the goaltending.
But what has that gotten you?
Uh, are you like okay? He's
Exactly.
had 1 year. He
But at the
literally
same time, look at the free agent goalies that were available when he was there versus what was available in other years.
okay, sure.
They couldn't go to Allmark.
He got Anthony
They
Stolars
couldn't have
who
afforded Allmark.
he got Anthony Stolars who was a backup
But
on
like you said, they could have
Florida.
figured it out.
Yeah,
Like you said, yeah.
Yeah, so he
who was
got
good last year.
okay, so he got Anthony Stolars who was a backup on
You're
Florida
not getting
who
starters in free agency anymore.
okay, but that's what
They
I'm
don't make
saying.
it.
Okay, but that's what I'm saying. He
I
got a
understand that.
backup on Florida, so it's not like he went and picked up fucking Andre Vasilevsky or
I
something.
understand that. And I
So
don't think Stolars is that great. I think he's better than what you had. But,
okay, so that's an improvement, is it not?
well, we have to see in the playoffs.
Well, as of right now, it's an improvement. So
Yeah.
what I'm trying to say is his biggest moves have been this past offseason. So we
Yes.
haven't even gotten to see how they pan out in the
And
playoffs.
since we haven't gotten to see it, you can't judge it either way. I just don't see the direction he's going. That's
But
all.
okay, but then by that logic, I don't see the direction Dubas was going.
But Dubas built the core. And
I,
yes, he
I
should
my
have
my left
changed
nut could
something.
have built the core when you're drafting Matthews, drafting Marner, drafting
Marner went
Nylander.
fourth. Like,
Okay, yes, he went fourth.
And
Matthews
Marner
went.
should have gone, and Marner should have went a lot earlier. So in that draft, so it's
Oh,
not.
okay, so what you're basically saying is it was a gimme because he should have gone earlier and he
No, he
fell to.
didn't, so it might not have been. You never know. Like you really like, and you don't know how guys are gonna pan out. Like Matthews, yeah, you know. Mitch Marner, you don't know. Like,
No, you
yes,
don't know. But first of all, that draft class was stacked anyway. So half the guys he could have drafted would have been good anyway. So it's not like oh
I
he
understand that. I'm
found a
not
diamond in the
saying
rough.
I understand that, but at the same time, you can't say, "Oh, I can't judge him for not making moves," because I can't judge him for the lack of moves he's making. Yet you're judging him for the moves he is. Yet neither one of them have had an outcome yet.
No,
So if you
neither.
can say that it's better because of the moves he's making, I can say it's worse because of the lack of moves I see him making.
But you can look logically at the moves that Dubas
But that's
made.
not the team's problem. Yes, defense and goaltending, you got to fix it. But at the same time, they need scoring more than anything in the playoffs. Their core sucks in the playoffs.
Yeah, I understand, but what I'm saying is you can look logically at the moves Dubas made and whether or not they panned out, which obviously they didn't. Even at the time, they weren't
So
good moves.
your core didn't pan out. Like
I,
I
I
don't
didn't
understand
I,
what you want.
I didn't say that. Have you seen the moves he's made at the deadline in the
Yes,
offseason? They weren't
and
great moves.
I understand that, but at the time he was trying. What
I
has
understand he's
Brad
trying.
done to
Every GM is
try?
trying.
Is he though? He's
Yes.
giving up unbelievable amounts of assets for things that make them slightly better. That's not trying.
So what? So if he did nothing, that would have been better.
Then giving up what they did this trade deadline, yes. I think it would have been better to trade those assets in the offseason and get even better because you would have gotten way more for what you gave up.
We won't be able to afford anything in the offseason. So we trade these picks for what? Nothing?
No, you could get the same guys for less even if you want them.
Okay, you get the oh wow, we got Brandon Carlo instead of giving up the first, we gave up a second. Woo, we saved so much. Like it's not like it's gonna be such a save.
Matev, shut up.
Like
Like,
that just
I'm not saying
like
I
you're
just
gonna keep sucking off Dubas because he's your GM
I'm
now. I understand that.
I'm talking about Brad's moves. I don't see the direction. I don't like them.
That's fine.
It's an agree.
I'm not even talking about Brad. I am saying Dubas was not that good with the Leafs, and you can't seem to fathom that for some reason.
Because your team without him stinks.
Okay, that makes sense. We're having a better regular season than we've had with him, but yeah, it
Because
stinks. Okay.
of your, like you said, Brad just got there. He hasn't done much yet.
No, he hasn't. But guess what? The moves he made this offseason were better than any moves Dubas has
And
made
if it
in his
doesn't
off
work, and
seasons.
if it doesn't
That's a
win them around,
no.
if it doesn't win them around,
What do you mean no? What give me three good Dubas moves from the offseason. Any offseason. Any
I
offseason.
don't remember the
Three
Leafs moves, to be completely honest with you. I
three
couldn't
great
tell you.
Dubas moves from the offseason.
Any offseason. I don't care what year it is.
With
And you can't say
Toronto.
drafting Marner or whatever. I'm saying like a trade, the big
Didn't he draft
signing.
your favorite player, Matthew Nyes, who wasn't a gimme?
He did draft Matthew Nice. That was a good pick. I'll give him credit. That was a very good pick.
They had that one year where they got all those
Um,
old guys like Joe Thornton, Mark Giordano.
Yeah, great signing. Joe
Jay,
Thornton. Yeah, that
they
was
had
awesome.
I mean,
Jason
hey, that's
Spezza.
Pappy's best
Spezza
friend.
was a nice move.
Spezza was all right.
Spezza
Again,
was a
still
nice move,
old, but
but it was old. But
Foligno, one of the
Spezza was
worst
good.
first round picks I've ever seen given up in my life
Yeah, that one wasn't so
for
great.
Nick
that was
Foligno.
rough.
But
That I'll give it that one wasn't great. I don't remember all the moves Dubas made in Toronto. I wasn't paying attention too much, but brought in Ryan O'Reilly.
That was a nice move.
The
That
Kadri
was
trade was
Dubas, right?
bad.
yeah,
Yeah, that
Yeah.
was
Yeah.
Dubas.
Brought in O'Reilly, who in my opinion
yeah,
is still the best piece the Leafs have brought in with those guys in the
that was a
past
very
five
solid move.
years.
Yeah,
I don't think Brad's made a move that good.
no, that
And
was
they
a very
traded away
solid move.
Jake
Yet.
Muzzin, who was injured or whatever the fuck he was doing.
Well, they didn't trade him away. He's on LTIR.
And yeah, he's
Oh
still there.
no.
And
They
like
traded for
again,
him.
I
Yeah,
don't
yeah, yeah.
again
Oh
I
no,
like
you traded for
again
him. Yeah, yeah,
I kind
right,
of
right,
forget
yeah.
the timeline, to be fair. So if I say something that Brad did and it's good, kudos to him because I don't remember the timeline. And both guys have probably done this. I know it's harder for Brad because he hasn't been there for as long. But when Dubas gave a goalie a year or two and it didn't work out, he was quick to move on,
Hmm.
which is what you need when a guy's not working out.
Yeah, they did. Yeah, you're right. They did both kind of do that because they gave Samsonov a year last year and then got rid of him. But yes, you're right about that. And
And it's
Dubas
trial
was
and
good for
error.
that.
It's
Yes.
trial and error. Again, you don't know how a player's going to work in your system. The one thing I will 100% give you that Dubas, I already am not liking. Fire your coach.
Mhm.
Keefe should have been fired.
Oh,
Keefe should
yes.
have, what should have happened. I know you probably don't agree now because you like what Brad's done. Fine, I can't like hate you for your opinion on that. Dubas should have gotten a year without Keefe.
Yes, I
They
agree.
should have went over
Yeah.
Dubas's head, fired Keefe, and told Dubas you have 1 year.
I do agree with that because I think it's not really fair to Dubas that like he didn't really even get to experience the team with a different coach like
Well, Dubas
at that
is the guy
time.
who's supposed to fire him.
Yes, yes,
So it's his
yes,
own fault. But
yes,
the
it is.
team should have been like, we see your vision, or
Yes,
at least we have faith in your vision. We might not see it. Go with a different coach, see what you can do. But at the same time, they didn't do that, so you never know. I don't
I
think Brad's gonna be a bad GM for the Leafs. I just don't see his vision. But that's me
I
personally.
Yeah, I will say I don't think I was obviously joking about saying Kyle Dubas shit. I actually liked Kyle Dubas. I was probably one of the only Leaf fans that like Kyle Dubas because I know a lot of people didn't like him, but I did like Kyle Dubas and I think he did have a vision and I saw his vision, but obviously it didn't pan out. And I think that in the end, the bottom line is the only reason I think honestly it's a little bit of recency bias from both of us because it is a little bit of recency bias in my opinion that Tanev and Oliver Ekman-Larsson and Anthony Stolarz, I'm saying he's done well because of those
Those are
acquisitions.
great.
But
Those are great
in
acquisitions.
the end, but you're right. We don't know what's going to happen in the playoffs. They could go out in the first round and then, excuse me, and then like, did it really? Well, okay, he did sign them for multiple years, but still, was it really that big of a deal? Whereas I think the same thing from your side is this trade deadline. Did he have a great trade deadline? No. So I do understand why from this trade deadline, you look at it and you're like, okay, but what is he doing? Like, I don't get where he's going with this. So honestly, I think in the end, and I'll be the first to admit it. I think both of us should agree that 1 or 2 more years, if it's still in the same point, you're 100% right.
Yeah,
And
I
one or
think
two more years,
you need to give it time.
if
That's
they
all.
go on a run to the finals, whatever, then maybe we could say, okay, you know what, he did a
If
good job with the team. He had a vision, but it is hard
if
to say when he's only been there for a year
yeah,
what his vision is. I don't
in the
know.
time that if once he's there for as long as Dubas was there, if he wins more than 1 round, sure.
Yeah,
Obviously,
yeah,
better results. You
yeah.
just
Hmm.
won't know till then.
Yeah, fair
I
enough.
think that's a
So,
good time to go into football
but
for.
yeah, we'll get into the agree or disagrees in football. So anyways, first one is sorry, I can't. This one's funny. Sam Darnold is going to continue his good play on the Seahawks, even with with minimal weapons.
Disagree. No,
Disagree.
because
Yeah.
the Vikings O-line was good and gave him enough time, and it also helps that he has Justin Jefferson and Jordan Addison on his team. So no, Sam Darnold will not be able to replicate his same season he did in Minnesota. If he does, proves me wrong. I'll admit it if I'm wrong, but I'm not wrong.
I
So
think we're all disagreeing. I said that kind of
I
on purpose, but
disagree, but not as much as you guys. Like, I don't think he'll be as good as last year. But the minimal weapons, JSN, sick. Cooper Cup, a little bit washed, still sick.
Cooper Cup,
Kenneth
yeah.
Walker is
Yeah.
unbelievable. He'll have a good year. I don't think he'll be like a top 15 QB in the league, but he'll be between that 15 to 20 mark. He'll be solid enough. If the Seahawks are going to make the playoffs, it's going to be on other people, but he'll be solid. He'll be good enough to get the job done.
fair enough. Yeah, I have the next one. I be cordial about this. It's gonna go Mateo, me, Chris, Ryan, because I feel like you guys are all gonna want to jump in and say something. Mateo is first, then me, then Chris, then
I
Ryan.
know what
Mhm.
this is instantly because you said that.
No, it's actually not probably not what you're expecting, but it's actually a general one. I tried to change it up this time.
Okay.
So it applies to you. Actually, let me just for the viewers or listeners, Mateo's team is the Pittsburgh Steelers. My team is the Washington Commanders. Chris's team is the Green Bay Packers. Ryan's team is the Miami Dolphins. So the question is, you are satisfied with your team's offseason so far. Mateo, you are first. Pittsburgh Steelers, are you satisfied with their offseason so far?
No, we don't have a fucking QB. Fucking, we have Mason Rudolph and Skylar Tom. Like, hey, we could sign Metcalf, but we don't have anybody throwing to him. They might as well sign a homeless guy, and I don't know what the fuck Aaron Rodgers is doing. What's the place he's at, Ryan? Akalambe
No,
or the
no, I said
fucking
he's on an
hell
ayahuasca retreat on the beach with his
or
blanket and
ayahuasca. Oh,
headphones.
there we go. Yeah. Now we're waiting for him. I don't even know what's Russell Wilson doing. Fucking
He's waiting
scratching
for
his
Aaron
balls
Rodgers to
somewhere.
say no so he can go to the Steelers.
Oh, and our running backs. Okay, Jalen Warren. He's a restricted free agent. I'm pretty
No,
sure.
I think you guys signed him back now.
Oh, oh, he signed him.
I
Okay,
think
well,
so.
Jalen Warren, like he's pretty decent, but I don't think he's a running back one in my opinion. Yeah,
He,
but the Metcalf I like, but I don't know. The locker room's gonna be a bit of a cancer with him and George in there. I don't know how the fuck that's gonna work out. So honestly, not fully. I don't know. I don't like how the Steelers free agency went. So
Yeah, okay. For me, Washington Commanders, I would say I slightly agree. I don't think it's been amazing. I don't think it's been terrible. Like in my eyes before this offseason started, obviously we still have a young team. We still have Jaden Daniels second year. Honestly, knowing and having a feeling that he might have a sophomore slump. I didn't have don't have very high hopes going into this year. I was just hoping let's at least try to keep most of our core players and maybe pick up a guy or two because we do have a good amount of cap. So that was kind of the plan I was hoping they were going to go for, and that's pretty much what they did. They re-signed Zach Ertz, they re-signed Bobby Wagner. They honestly, I know it sounds kind of stupid, but I was kind of happy they kept Marcus Mariota because he's good, from what I've heard, a good locker room guy and kind of guiding Jaden Daniels. But I was hoping they would pick up a big defensive player. I did hear, I was told by Ryan, I don't know too much about him, but they did get a tackle, Laramie Tunsil, who Ryan has attested that is very good. I don't know too much about him, but yeah, they got Laramie Tunsil. I know they got the guy from the Niners, Kinlaw. Again, don't know too much about him, but I've heard he's pretty good. So I'm happy with that. But yeah, honestly, simply, I was just happy. Oh, they brought back Noah Brown too. I was just happy they brought back most of their guys. Yes, they lost De'Ami Brown. Not too worried. Jonathan Allen left. We kind of knew that was going to happen. So honestly, in the end, I wouldn't say like I'm incredibly. Oh, how am I? And they got Debo Samuel, but I'm not the happiest about that one. Like, yes, they only gave up a fifth for him, but like Debo, I hope he has some resurgence or something, but I don't rate Debo that high. So it's been a decent offseason. I'd say so far it's been solid, but it hasn't been like, oh my God, but it hasn't been terrible. So yeah, anyways, Chris, on your Green Bay Packers, they've had an amazing offseason. So go on.
Did they? I like the Nate Hobbs pickup. It's a good thing that we needed him because Jair was so like, will he, won't he play? They decided to keep him, which I totally don't mind because I love Jair so much. Nate Hobbs is actually going to help us because I think Nixon is going to be. Nixon said he didn't want to return kicks anymore, even though he's literally a two-time All-Pro kick returner. Don't know what that's about, but he's a shitty corner in man coverage. He gets cooked by everybody. But that's why I like the Nate Hobbs. So you can run Jair, Hobbs, and Valentine. That's a pretty decent secondary with Evan Williams and Xavier McKinney. The problem is, we did not really need an offensive lineman. Well, we did because they got cooked by the Eagles. But again, that Eagles D line was incredible. But our O line kind of held their own. The problem is, why are you giving Aaron Banks $19 million? Like, that's not what we wanted our cap space to be for. Like, we desperately, desperately needed a receiver. And you know what receiver they got? They signed him today. They got McCole Hardman. He is not replacing the deep threat of Watson out there. Exactly. Mattel's shaking heads like, ew, who's that? He was the guy on the Chiefs. And again, I don't mind getting
the
another
guy.
receiver. He was a guy on the Chiefs. But, it's like, I don't mind because he's probably just going to be our main returner anyways to replace Nixon out there. But who was replacing Watson's deep threat production out there? Like, he was fast, but now his knee, it's literally shredded pork. I'm sorry, but where's the receiver? Like, fuck, I want Tyler Lockett. Go get somebody, at least somebody to help you on third downs. That is desperately what we need. We led the league in drops last year. Like, what the, like, oh my goodness. Like, I don't know what they're doing. So I'm gonna slightly disagree because I like Nate Hobbs, but and I don't like Hardman, and I'm very on the Aaron Banks signing. But if we compare it to last year, we got Xavier McKinney and Josh Jacobs. So what happened? There's so many guys that you could have gone out there, and there's always, oh, we're in talks with guys. I don't care if you're in talks with guys anymore. You're always in talks with guys.
Sounds like the Blue Jays.
Exactly. You're always in talks with guys, and then you sign guys that aren't what we expected as Packers fans. So you got to make a decision here. What's going on? Another thing, we have no defensive line. The only guys that we have are Kenny Clark and Rashawn Gary. Lucas Van Ness regressed. Aaron Brooks, he's all right. TJ Slayton left. So where's our other D lineman? I know you're gonna draft one in the first round because you're Green Bay. You always draft a fucking defense D lineman or a goddamn offensive lineman that you could have gotten 4 rounds from now. So address the needs because there was Demarcus Lawrence, or I don't remember. I think it was Demarcus. There was a lot of other players on the free agency market that you could have gone that could have made the big splash, and you didn't even call. You didn't even call about Myles Garrett. So what are we doing out there? And I know they're not going to call about Trey Hendrickson. Don't even get me started. There's so many rumors of, oh my God, the Packers are going to trade for Trey. No, they're not because they're cheap. We need the guys. Instead of drafting guys for the future, why not just figure out because what you need now and then do it? And the McCole Hardman thing, sorry, it's the last thing. I don't know if you remember when the Packers signed Sammy Watkins 2 years ago or 3 years ago. It's the exact same thing. That's all.
So I'm gonna start off with the good. We signed Nick Westbrook-Ikhine, and we got some offensive linemen. One from the Steelers, good. One from the Bears, that Bears fans commented on the post saying if he plays a snap, Tua's gonna die. So, a little bit of both in the offensive line department. Tron Armstead still doesn't know if he's retiring or not, and it's really making me nervous. Now let's get to the last good thing we did, other than signing my Lord and Savior Zach Wilson. We signed a goddamn punter. I waited like 8 or 9 hours on the start of free agency, didn't make a move. We don't have any safeties. We don't have any corners. We don't have any offensive line, really. We don't have any, like, we have some tight ends. That's fine. We're quarterback, we're good there. But we don't have any receivers other than the three of them. Then we're cooked. We have no, like, our secondary is Jalen Ramsey and Storm Duck. It's all we got right now. We signed two safeties I've never heard of. Couldn't even remember their name enough to tell you guys right now. We lost Javon Holland. Fine. See ya, pal. Kick rocks. I'll repost that video you posted when Vic Fangio left. Kick rocks, pal. Have fun in New York after saying you want to go win. See ya. But I've never been so upset going into a Dolphins season because, one, if we don't draft Malachi Starks in 13th overall in this draft, I think we are going to let up 800 passing yards a game if we don't draft him. I've ne like all of our good core players are in their prime or older, and yet we're doing nothing to help them, so we're just going to be shit. It's like our team already knows we're firing our GM and coach at the end of the year and they just want Arch Manning. That's what it feels like. Like we fucking suck. But one last time, I'm so happy we have Zach Wilson. Mom's in Miami, beware. I'll end
Ryan,
it at that.
question. What happened
Yeah.
to Tyreek leaving?
Basically, Tyreek Hill said when we lost, because he's a big baby, oh, I want out, I'm out, instead of answering the question, which the question was, oh, how are you guys gonna help the younger guys and like build in the off season? And he said, I don't know, bruh, I'm out. Um, and then his agent said he had a meeting with Chris Greer, our GM. And then Tyreek said, oh yeah, no, I just overreacted, I want to stay.
Oh,
Because
okay.
and then he said the reasoning is because his kids get to go to the beach before school. So I don't know
Okay.
how to feel about it, to be honest.
Eh,
Yeah, fair
look
enough.
out for
So
beaches in Miami.
I thought that agree or disagree would kind of kick everything off and let everyone kind of speak about their team a little bit. Before we continue, I just do want to say one more thing about Washington that I missed out when I was talking about it was I just wanted to say that I was just looking at their depth chart again to kind of remember who was on the team this year. I forgot we got rid of Benjamin St. Just. You guys probably don't even know who that is.
No,
Um,
he's
Oh
sick. He's
God,
sick. He's
We also
sick.
he
didn't know who Mike
sucks
Sanders still was, though.
ass.
No, he
Okay.
doesn't. St. Juice was not bad.
St. Just is at, I am so happy he's
What
gone.
position is he?
He's a corner. Our
Better or
corner.
worse than Storm Duck?
Okay, he's better than Storm Duck. but our depth chart now like literally looks the same as last year, except now instead of McLaurin, De'Ami Brown, Noah Brown, we got McLaurin, Debo, Noah Brown, and then like getting again, I don't know much about him, but Laramie Tunsil I was told is good, and we did need someone in our O line, so I'm happy about that. And on defense, yes, we lost Jonathan Allen, but like I said, I've heard Javon Kinlaw is solid, so I'm sure he can take somewhat take that spot because Jonathan Allen was out for half the year anyway, so it's not like we were doing everything with him. And we kept the rest of the team. Marshawn Lattimore still there. Mike Sanders still my goat, still there. Brian Robinson, Austin Eckler. We still got the core. But anyways, I just wanted to address that. But
Oh,
yes,
also, last thing.
yeah,
I forgot about this. I just looked at the roster.
yes.
There was one thing that me and the rest of Dolphins Twitter wanted for this free agency. Wasn't even signing anyone. It was just do not re-sign Liam Eichenberg. He is the worst player I've ever seen play football in my life. And we made it 2 days. I saw, or like a day or two of free agency. I kept seeing posts saying, with like prayer hands, being like, please let this be true. And then it hit me. The Miami Dolphins have re-signed Liam Eichenberg notification. And we re-signed him for the same money as actual good offensive linemen. It makes no sense to me. But that's all. Liam, if you watch this, I hate you.
Oh my God.
Jeez. Okay.
So,
Damn.
so yeah, let's get into a little bit of what happened in free agency. So obviously we already talked about Sam Darnold with the Seahawks. Justin Fields went to the New York Jets. Who
That's so
cares?
funny. No, that's so funny to me. It came out today that the Steelers offered him a similar, probably a little bit less money, but similar offer. But people are assuming, he didn't say this, that he felt more loved by the Jets organization, didn't want to go back to Pittsburgh after the whole Russell
I
Wilson
don't blame him.
fiasco.
He,
The
honestly,
amount
he'll,
of hate he probably got from George from that whole year
Well, he
against
didn't
he'll
even get to
Tomlin.
play.
he'll probably do better with the Jets than
Yeah.
Aaron Rodgers did.
Well, that's not hard.
Speaking of Aaron Rodgers, is that guy going to make a decision like this year? Is he just going to?
He said
In
draft day,
my
maybe.
in
He
my
said that's for
professional
trade.
Aaron Rodgers opinion, he should just. I love the guy. He's my favorite player of all time. He should just retire. Unfortunately, and I hate to say it, but it's like you're 41 coming off an Achilles tear. You had a pretty mid-season, like stats wise, record wise, you were absolutely garbage. And your options are the Steelers, Vikings, and the Giants.
Well, I heard the Vikings
Giants.
don't even want him.
That's what I heard too. So it's like,
Yeah.
okay, so if you're not going to go to the Vikings, your options are the Steelers and Giants.
And Cam
And
Hayward's not too happy with him.
no, and if I'm thinking about it and I'm thinking back to the
Campaign.
2015 Broncos, a team needs to be built like the 2015 Broncos for Aaron Rodgers to succeed. Like you need that elite defense, and there's no team that will provide that for them unless you're the Philadelphia Eagles. And the Eagles don't want him because they have Jalen Hurts. So it's like your options are very limited at this point. So it's like, do you want to lose in the playoffs, or do you want to go out with at least a semi-decent statistical season and you just don't suck?
And he wants 33 million, I've heard.
That's a bit much. I think me and you, Ryan, were talking about it, and I told you that he should only get like 18 to 20, and even that was a little bit high.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, you should do a LeBron the decision.
No, please no.
And the decision will just be his couch. Or sorry, a dark cave for a darkness retreat.
It's okay because the Steelers are probably going to get Joe Flacco as their quarterback.
Well,
No, okay, no.
well,
The
Jameis
perfect
Winston.
Oh
the
my
perfect fit
God,
for the Steelers
please.
would be Jameis
Yeah.
Winston.
yes. Well, Russell Wilson
I
said
honestly,
Russell Wilson told the Steelers that he wants to go back. The Steelers said, "We're waiting on Aaron Rodgers. Like, if he doesn't come, we'll sign you."
But why
Russell
wait?
Wilson then said, "Nah, fuck you guys. I'm gonna go visit with two other teams that want me." Went to the Browns, went to the Giants, and is now waiting for Aaron Rodgers to decide if he wants to go to the Steelers again because how bad the visits were with the Browns and Giants.
But the
Mateo, Mateo,
Steelers, the
Mateo, Mateo,
Steelers,
Mateo. Do you think the Steelers win with Aaron Rodgers? Like the Super Bowl?
100% no. No, you fucking crazy. I think we have more of a chance of Money
E-
Mason if we
Exactly,
can win the
exactly,
Super Bowl.
exactly. That's what I'm saying. Like,
You guys have a quarterback. You have Mason Rudolph.
even though
Bro,
Mason's kind of
bro,
good.
he led
No,
us to
mate.
the playoffs, bro,
Mason
two
got
years
bonked in the
ago.
head by Miles Garrett. He's sick.
Yeah, exactly.
He got raped by the Bills that year though in the playoffs. Oh my god.
Well, now hang
You
on.
remember when Josh
That
Allen did
game
that run? That
that
was
that game
that
that game was
game.
close until Josh Allen did that run.
I
Yeah.
remember I was watching you in
Remember when the
class and
Steelers
I
were beating
almost
the
threw my
Chiefs that one year by
laptop at
7 and then lost 38-7?
I do remember. That was Big Ben's last year, right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
TJ Watt got the fumble recovery touchdown. That was the last time they
On-
scored.
Well,
what else? There
oh,
was Najee signed with the Chargers since we're on the topic of the Steelers. Not really a
Yeah.
big loss for the Steelers. Najee was kind
No,
of slow,
Najee sucks. Yeah.
yeah.
I'll stand on
Najee's one of like what 10 like 5 running backs ever to have 1,000 yards in each of his first 4 seasons.
which is why
I don't
it's a good fit
care.
for the
He's so
Harbaugh system,
slow.
though. But
Yeah,
he's a
and
good fit
I
for the
don't like
Harbaugh
watching him
system.
play.
hey, Mateo, did you hear what he said in his interview with the Chargers?
Oh yeah, how the stadium's like much
He's,
better than the
he said
facility.
he said he didn't know that you could have facilities this nice in the NFL and you don't get this everywhere.
Oh, wow.
And he said it reminded me of Alabama, this and that. Like it's
That's
blazing the shit out of it.
terrible.
Like
Well,
get
the
the fuck
Steelers'
out of
facilities were
here.
probably built in like
Well,
2000.
since we're
The
talking
rumor.
about we should like we'll skip by some of these that don't really matter that much, but I'm
Don't skip
sure
by my goat
I
Zach
was
Wilson.
about to say I'm sure Ryan just wants to say because he put in just so the listeners know this guy put in our document we put everything like Mason Rudolph signed with Pittsburgh
Well,
Steelers and
no,
put the
no.
amount.
I need to explain. For everyone was signed with what team they went for how much. Zach Wilson just said 1 year, 6 million. So instead of saying signed with, for example, Miami Dolphins, I said signed with in all caps your
Your
Miami Dolphins.
Miami Dolphins. But
I
do you
love
want to
him.
speak on Zach Wilson or you already? I know you
Let's
already
just
mentioned him,
say,
but
I know he's used to the Mormon moms, but he's gonna have to switch over to some Latino moms in Miami.
and I'm sure Mateo,
Kenny
what would
Pickett.
you like to say about the Cleveland Browns trade?
Kenny Money is gonna have a chance to be a starter. I'm excited to see what if he could do it. He said in his mind he is the starter already. So I guess that makes him the starter.
He
If it's
should
in his
be. He
mind.
should be. He won a
Well,
Super Bowl.
Mateo, he'd be the starter in Pittsburgh right now. You should have brought him
Yeah,
back.
he literally would be.
You
It's in
should
his
trade back
mind,
for
so I
him.
guess he's a starter.
Hey, he
Yeah.
should be a
Oh
starter. He
god.
won the Super Bowl.
He was 0 for 1 in that game.
And then Aaron Jones, the greatest Green Bay Packer of all time.
He's definitely one of my favorites.
He re-signed with the Vikings. Nothing else too interesting.
Rico Dowdle, I
Lo-
guess.
a
That
lot of
one's
yeah.
not bad. That
I was
one's
gonna say
not
a lot of
bad.
re-signings, but yeah, Rico Dowdle signed with
Yeah.
the Carolina Panthers. Not bad. Um, getting into like the wide receivers, obviously there's the two ginormous ones that just happened. Well, was it today or yesterday?
Or yesterday. I think yesterday.
The
Yesterday.
Chase and Higgins,
Yeah, Jamar Chase
Yeah.
and T. Higgins both signed for 4 years.
Yeah.
their
Yeah.
defense is
A
going to
lot
be
of money.
so
I was gonna
bad.
say they
Their
literally
defense is
have
going to be
their
terrible.
offensive weapons, but their defense is literally gonna be some random ass fucking people.
Hey, maybe if the Bengals are listening,
Dogs.
maybe you have Chris, Mateo, Ryan, and Dante try out for D line.
Oh God, I get flattened.
Oh yeah.
Uh,
Yeah.
But yeah, that was, and then Mateo, I'm sure you're gonna want to mention something about the Steelers trading for DK Metcalf.
Again, it's a great signing. Like DK's a great player, but there's no one to fucking throw to him pretty much. So right at the moment, Money Mason at the moment. So yeah.
I
Yeah, and
like how
then
Chris Godwin stayed with Tampa.
yeah, Chris Godwin stayed with Tampa.
Yeah. Cooper
There
Kupp.
were another two huge moves. Cooper Cup got did he get released by or
He got released by
released
the
by the
Rams,
Rams,
yeah,
right?
because no one
And
wanted to trade for him.
yeah, and he got picked up by the Seahawks, and the Rams said, "Okay, we're just gonna go get a better version. Then we're gonna go get a better wide receiver," and they got Devontae Adams.
Yeah,
So,
that I feel like that one turns the
Is he
Rams
still better?
from
eh, I'd
yes,
say he's still better.
I
Devontae
mean,
Adams is still better than Cooper Cup. He always was.
Well, he
not
always was.
not like
Always was.
not a
Except,
not the Triple Crown
I was
year.
gonna say, except for the year he won the Triple Crown.
But I like the pickup because now you have Puka Nakua and Devontae Adams,
That's a disgusting
and
duo.
your defense is on the rise, especially if the Rams can just focus on drafting defenders. I think the Rams can like go back to the Super Bowl with Stafford.
They have a good team.
They have a
Yeah.
good team now. Like
Yeah,
it's even better than they were last year. And last year they almost beat the Eagles
yeah,
in the divisional game.
yeah,
So guess what? They just got another epic offensive weapon.
yeah.
So
No,
guess what?
that was a
Right?
good signing. That was a good signing.
It's a
Good,
great
good.
signing.
Like, thank God the Seahawks got Cooper Cup because after did they release Tyler Lockett?
Yeah, that they released
They
him.
released
Yeah.
Tyler Lockett, got rid of DK Metcalf. Thank God they got Cooper Cup, or else they would have been very, very lacking in wide receivers. But they still have Ryan's GOAT that he's
But
mentioned 8 times.
Seattle's defense, I will say, has gotten better with yeah, with everything
Yeah,
that they did. D Hop to the Ravens does nothing.
yeah. I was gonna say D Hop is he
Wow.
fell off a cliff.
I
He's
mean, he's still
ass.
solid.
He's
Like
He's
he's not
solid,
okay. He's
but
just like
that does nothing.
yeah. He's just
He's not
like
gonna do anything on the Ravens. So
It's
yeah.
such a lateral move because the Ravens just released Nelson Aguilar. It's pretty much the lateral move.
yeah.
If this was like 2017, holy fuck. But nah.
Oh, the Mateo like is probably so upset. The greatest acquisition ever, Mike Williams. Uh,
Mike
went,
Williams.
went to,
That touchdown on the fucking Commanders, bro. You
guy.
remember
it was the
that?
only thing he
It
did.
was literally the only thing he did. This guy said,
That was
"Look
such an
how good he
insane throw by
is."
Wilson too. Oh my god, that's so electric.
Yeah,
Oh
and
my.
he went to the Chargers and
Yeah.
Joshua
Hey,
Palmer on the Bills.
That
hey,
doesn't
you
really do
can't you
much either.
I know we're not quite there yet, but you can't pass over the huge one of Juju Smith-Schuster re-signing in Kansas City.
Okay, yeah.
Yeah.
What other big ones we have here?
Oh, there's a few big ones. Are we
There,
still are going to stay on receivers or are we going to move
yeah,
on?
one receiver still.
Yeah, just
Okay.
Obviously, I mentioned that De'Ami Brown's gone. I think he signed for too much at 10 million, to be honest, but just my opinion.
To be
Uh,
fair, I know I mentioned him already, but Nick Westbrook-Ikhine, or however you pronounce it, Ikhine, whatever his
yeah,
last name is, I wide receiver 3, love the signing because he had 9 touchdowns last year, which is more than I think at least Waddle and Hill combined, if not all of our wide receivers combined. So
yeah,
we had 2 speed guys, get a tall jump ball guy. I'll take it.
yeah. There's nothing else too
oh,
crazy.
Debo Samuel, Dante.
Yeah, I mentioned
Yeah.
in my little spiel about Debo, like we lost Olamide Zaccheaus as well. That one kind of sucked. I did like Zaccheaus, but we got Debo Samuel. I did kind of mention it. Um, I don't hate Debo Samuel. Like I don't hate that we got Debo Samuel. He has been on a steady decline. Yes, injuries haven't helped that, but at the same time, he is one of the more versatile receivers in the league because he's used as a running back as well. But
And he
he's
just complains.
yeah, he's honestly like in the end, as much as he's not my favorite player to get, wide receiver wise, he's better than we had last year. Our wide receiver 2 last year was Noah Brown. Now he's our wide receiver 3. So that kind of tells you obviously Debo, he's obviously nowhere near as good as Terry McLaurin, who's our wide receiver 1, but at least Terry has someone with him. At least Jaden Daniels has someone else to throw to. But yeah, it's not. I wouldn't say it's some crazy like, oh my god, we got Debo. It's just like, okay, yeah, cool. We got Debo. We got someone a little bit better for wide receiver 2, but nothing insane. But yeah, that's pretty much it for wide receivers. And then I already
I
mentioned
mean,
Zach Ertz resigned.
I'm
Juwan
looking at
Johnson.
I'm looking at the tight ends here, and I know Mateo, I know you made the list. Appreciate you making it. How did you forget the biggest signing of the offseason? The Miami Dolphins signed Pharaoh Brown.
Oh my god.
Uh, you know, there is
To be
one that
fair, he put
actually
John Bates on here. I don't
he
know how
did.
he got our or our tight end 2 on here, but
I think your tight end two, $21 million over 3 years.
Isn't Ingram a big signing for the
Ingram,
Broncos?
the Broncos
Yeah.
had a
Yeah.
Like
fantastic free agency. They got Dre Greenlaw, Talanoa Hufanga, Evan Ingram, And that's just helping out. Evan Ingram is just so helping out Bo Nix because Sutton can't do it all.
Who was their tight end last year? The Broncos.
I don't remember.
That's a good question.
You know
Nobody?
what's really funny? You know what's really funny?
Adam Troutman.
The guy who overpaid Kirk and Ingram, they just like this. I think like the second he left, they just like reversed both his moves by releasing both of them.
Yeah.
There were, I think they're like, okay, obviously we haven't got into it yet, the two big defensive moves, but well, one wasn't really a move, but I feel like we're forgetting a lot of names on this list, but this is kind of just what we came up with. But obviously, big, huge signing was Myles Garrett re-signing with Cleveland because everyone thought he was going to leave. There were all the rumors that he was going to leave.
He told everyone he wants to win championships, and then a bag says
Yeah,
otherwise.
I was gonna say, and then he decided he wanted to be on the poverty Cleveland Browns,
Like
but
$39 million won't make him stay, but 40 will.
Yeah, but he gets to play with Kenny Pickett now.
Yeah, it's quarterback. Kenny Money. I
but
would say.
yeah, so that was yeah, Myles Garrett, and then Joey Bosa signed with the Buffalo Bills.
That does nothing. I swear. Like the Bills have, I don't know why they made them. Like they just cut Von Miller, signed Joey Bosa just to get a couple more games out of him. You know, it's. I mean, no, that's not true. The Bills also got Mike Hott from the Rams. He's pretty good. The only thing that about the Bills is, will this be enough to beat their number one rivals, the Chiefs? Do you think Josh Palmer will
Probably
have?
not.
Probably not. So,
They also
like,
overpaid him so much.
who? Joey Bosa?
Yeah, Joey
Yeah,
Bosa
yeah.
had two offers, and it was Miami and San Fran who both offered 10 million, and then the Bills can't let us have anything nice, so they had to offer 12.6.
It's one of those things where it's like, you have Josh Palmer, you don't re-sign him Amari Cooper, you don't re-sign Rasul Douglas.
But nobody cares about that one, buddy.
It's the fact that they didn't re-sign Rasul Douglas when he's a key piece in their secondary, especially now that everyone's kind of leaving. It doesn't make sense. So what you doing in Buffalo? Like you see what the Broncos did, and guess what? They're gonna kick your ass this year because they got Dre Greenlaw, Talanoa Hufanga, two of the best people from the 49ers. Now are on the Broncos, who already had a great defense from the year before.
Yeah, but his name's Hufunga, so he kind of loses some credibility there.
Talanoa Hufanga is one of the
Tomorrow.
best safeties in the league.
Wait, did Javon Holland stay in
Oh, he went to New York.
oh,
Yeah, because New York
What's it
lost
called? I
DJ
know.
Reed to the
Oh, where?
to the Lions, and the Lions lost someone else. I forgot his name.
Hmm.
The Lions cut Zadarius Smith. He's a fucking crybaby. He's
I
gonna
don't.
go to the Bears just to complete the NFC North. I used to like him until he said, I forgot what he said. He said, "Oh, Detroit just wasn't the right fit for me," and he said that about the Vikings and then the Packers after they both cut him because he's pretty much a locker room cancer.
no one's the right fit for him.
Dante,
Yeah.
just to bring up your point, I know the listeners can't see this. I'm fucking depressed. Look at this. I'm fucking depressed.
This guy's a Javon Holland
I'm
shirt.
fucking depressed. What am I
Where do you
supposed to do
even
with that
get
now?
that?
On
What else
his
was I thinking?
website.
On his
On
website?
his website.
Yeah, I got it
Holy
like 2 years
glazed.
ago.
Oh my
Oh
god.
my god.
What am I? And no, and let me get the names of who we replaced them with, and you tell me. We replaced him with Ashton Davis, who don't know, and we replaced him with Ifeatu Melifonwu.
Who is that?
He has no. I don't. He has. He had no interceptions last year.
Oh, nice.
Detroit Lions legend.
But like, why? I get like we weren't gonna pay Johan Holland that much money because like he kind of sucked the past 2 years. His attitude was terrible. But like he was better than what we could have got.
I guess the only other interesting guys that are going to go somewhere is I don't think Amari Cooper hasn't signed anywhere yet. I
Amari
don't
Cooper
think.
hasn't signed
No.
anywhere.
Stephon Diggs.
Tyler
Stephon Di-
Lockett.
Tyler
Asante
Boyd.
Samuel Jr. hasn't signed anywhere yet either.
No, I want
I
the
want.
Packers.
I know. I need him.
If you're listening, please sign Asante Sam.
I
But
need.
don't
I
listen
need.
to Ryan
I
and the
either need
Dolphins
him or
voodoo
Xavier
magic.
Howard to be a Dolphin by the end of this. Like,
So I don't
offseason.
know. I don't know too much about offensive linemen. So like Trey Smith on the Kansas City Chiefs, they placed the franchise tag on him. Is he really that good?
Yes.
Oh,
I mean, they all kind of suck until they don't for like 3 years, then they suck again.
because yeah, I don't know too much about offensive linemen, so that doesn't mean much to me.
Yeah,
But
they either
yes.
they're either the worst player on earth or you don't notice them.
Mm, Oh, we forgot a big name. What's Nick Chubb gonna do? The Browns haven't re-signed him.
His
I
leg's
know his
mush.
leg is yeah, it's
Maybe the
mush.
Steelers, I hear.
But I still feel like he's got quite a bit in his tank. And I kind of feel like my Packers should sign him just to back up Josh Jacobs a little bit because
I don't think he's gonna sign for a backup role though.
if we keep using Josh Jacobs the way we're using him, he's gonna die.
Yeah, like the Steelers, he'd be a starter. He'd probably be a starter in
Yeah.
Green or in New York for
Yeah.
the either or well for the Giants, not the Jets.
Okay. Yeah, and then there's no one else really that interesting that still has to sign. Like obviously there's a few names like Brandon Cooks. Is he even like still good?
Nah, he's usually always
Like
injured. He's usually always injured with his hamstring injuries.
like
He had like
same
one
like
last ride with the Cowboys, but then he got
yeah.
locked up by Jair, and Jair sent him to the Shadow Realm.
What about Keenan Allen?
He got
Keenan's pretty
fat.
good.
He
He got
got
fat.
fat.
He got fat last year.
Hey, so did Tua. I said this last episode, last
Yeah,
football.
but
We're
Tua
back.
needed the weight. Tua
I know
needed
we're
the
back.
weight.
Fat
Keenan
Tua, we're so
Allen,
back.
he's a receiver. You can't have that. And
Convert him to tight end.
You know
that's
what?
what I wish they did with Lazard.
You know what? Since we're here, there's not too much else to talk about in free agency. So just to wrap this up, we're gonna do something. We're gonna do way too early Super Bowl prediction, and then we're gonna wrap this up. I
Fully
just
unbiased?
yes,
Fully unbiased or
unbiased.
super biased?
No, no,
Okay.
Oh,
no, unbiased.
yeah, yeah,
Unbiased. Okay,
definitely
okay.
unbiased. Yeah.
Unbiased.
Okay.
Okay. I will start off way too early Super Bowl prediction. I'm gonna go with the Kansas City Kansas City Chiefs versus the Washington commit. No, okay, I can't be biased. I can't be biased. No. Kansas City Chiefs versus scratch that, scratch that, scratch that. Baltimore Ravens versus the. Let's go with something just like. No, it's going to be the Eagles again. Never mind. Philadelphia Eagles, and the Eagles are going to win back-to-back Super Bowls.
They lost Kenny Pickett though.
Mateo,
It's a glue guy.
The good luck charm.
That's a glue guy.
What's yours?
Mine?
There's no right or wrong answer. Like it's way too early. That's the reason.
Yeah. I'll probably go with, you know what? I'll change it up. I'll go the Rams and maybe Rams and Ravens. The
Chris?
Bills, they always say the Bills, but the Bills never fucking make it.
No, I'm not picking the Bills. I don't really I'm not too fond of their moves this
Good.
off season. Um, Jeez. I'm gonna have to go with the Rams because I do like their moves this offseason. I know losing I forgot his name, Mike Hawk. I don't know how to pronounce his name.
Mike Cock?
No, Hawk.
Oh, his name is actually
H
Mike Hawk.
Hoecht, but it's
Fuck.
pronounced
Oh,
like Hawk.
Hawked. Oh, okay,
Yeah,
okay. I was gonna say
oh
Mike
yeah,
Hawk.
yeah.
That's like a fucking
But
classic Chell
but
name.
the trio of Nakua, Adams, and Kyron Williams is gonna cook. So I'm going with the Rams, and
Just say it. We know who it is.
No,
Give
it
me the
can't be who you
Packers.
think it is.
I think it's gonna be the Steelers.
Oh, what?
I'm a
They don't even
Steelers
have a
fan.
quarterback.
We don't have a
Oh,
quarterback.
what?
That doesn't matter. It
We
doesn't
don't have
matter.
Jackson
They don't
Dart
have a
there.
quarterback, a
I like their
defense, or
defense.
anything but receivers.
They have a defense.
Not their secondary's terrible.
No, they just picked up Darius Slay and they got Minka Fitzpatrick.
Minkus. Okay, I'm not gonna.
Okay,
Minka's kinda
Ryan, what's
ass,
yours?
So your Miami Dolphins are gonna win like 8 games this year, not them.
Oh,
Um, genuinely, exact. If you watched our last podcast, it's going to be the Lions Ravens, and the Lions are gonna win.
I was just about to say I forgot about the Lions, but I actually just want to ask real quick, Chris, who if the Steelers end up winning the Super Bowl, who
oh no,
wins
I
Super?
don't want them to win the Super Bowl. I
No,
want
but
the
if they
Rams.
do, if they make it and win it, who's winning Super Bowl MVP?
Aaron Rodgers.
This guy's acting like Aaron Rodgers isn't in a dark cave in like like
Even though I just told him to retire.
yeah, you're acting like he's not in a dark cave on the most amount of ayahuasca any human's
Okay,
ever
okay,
been
hold on,
on
hold
in
on,
Costa Rica in
hold
the
on, hold
middle
on.
of a rainforest.
Okay,
Who
hold
said
on, hold on.
Someone should take
Do
George there? Or
do you
Jared
want
should take
do you want
George
like
there.
the
That
actual version? The actual
Yes,
version?
yes.
I can't keep the Steelers on with a straight face. It's going to be probably the Rams and Ravens.
Okay. Wait, why did everyone look so puzzled when I said Ravens, but then everyone said Ravens?
No, I don't think we were puzzled when you said
I was a
Ravens. We
puzzle.
were puzzled when you said like Commanders at first. And then
Yeah,
Oh.
yeah.
Yeah, that's where we're puzzled, bro.
No, it can't be the Commanders. Sophomore slump, unfortunately. But
well,
That's
maybe
going to
not.
hit you like a truck.
yeah, I know. But yeah,
Tua didn't
so
have a sophomore slump because he didn't have a good rookie year.
It's only upwards.
so yeah, in the end, that was pretty much it. We went through some trade deadline, went through some free agency. So next week we will get more into how the NHL is actually going. Probably going to talk a little bit of March Madness because March Madness starts on Thursday, I believe.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, so March Madness starts soon, so we'll talk a little bit about that next week. And yeah, that's pretty much it. So that's been Unathletic Opinions, and we will see you guys next week.